Chapter 150. After Master Ji-Chen left, Wang Kai wanted to find an opportunity to go to the back of the mountain. However, to his surprise, two middle-aged monks suddenly appeared and stood solemnly on both sides of the door. Their cultivation realms were at the peak of the quasi-emperor realm. Ba, if Almsgiver Wang needs anything, you can call upon us. One of the Buddhist cultivators put his palms together and turned around. He nodded at Wang Kai and smiled. Then he looked straight ahead and straightened his body. Wang Kai's face darkened when he saw this. They looked like they were here to take care of him, but in fact, they were here to keep an eye on him. Otherwise, they would not have sent two peak quasi-emperors to guard the door like door gods. Master Ji-Chen did not know that he had no choice but to do this. He was frightened by Wang Kai's words. After all, there were many female disciples in the blissful Buddhist temple. If there was a live sex scene, it would bring shame to the blissful Buddhist temple. Peak quasi-emperors. Even if they have not activated the power of their bloodline, it would not be difficult to defeat them. However, it would be difficult for them to leave without a sound. Wang Kai frowned and was speechless. Even if he left without anyone noticing, the two Buddhist cultivators would find that there was no one in the room. The Savra Dao clone would also be useless. Perhaps only an expert in the third realm of the martial emperor could create a clone that was the same as the original body. However, if Wang Kai was really at that level, there would be no need for him to do this. However, they are too arrogant to think that they can keep an eye on Ben Shao with just two peak quasi-emperors. Wang Kai's expression was playful. He immediately sat cross-legged on the couch and placed his hands on his knees. He slowly closed his eyes and entered a state of meditation. So close, yet so far. Swoosh! An illusory and transparent figure floated out of Wang Kai's body and disappeared into the room like a breeze. The two monks by the door felt the breeze and couldn't help but frown. They looked at each other and turned to look into the room. When they found that Wang Kai was meditating with his legs crossed, they were slightly relieved and turned back. The real Wang Kai had already appeared at the back of the mountain. So close, yet worlds apart, is really a wonderful body movement martial skill. It seems to be right in front of you, but you are thousands of miles away. However, with my current martial arts realm, I'm afraid I can only maintain it for an hour. Fatty Liu, you have to come quickly. Wang Kai frowned and stepped into the air, looking around for the so-called clean water spring. Could it be there? Wang Kai's eyes suddenly focused. Below a waterfall, there was a pool with a waterfall pouring down. Above the waterfall, there was a natural spring that was constantly flowing up. The water flowed down the mountain walls and gathered in the pool. Some of it flowed down the mountain like a stream. However, the pool was surrounded by mist and was faintly discernible, so he couldn't see things clearly. It should be there, in the back of the mountain, only there is a spring. Wang Kai's brows gradually relaxed. With his hands behind his back, he quickly landed on the bank of the pool. Whoosh! Suddenly, he heard the sound of waves, which immediately caused Wang Kai to be stunned. He couldn't help but squint his eyes and look over. Ba, this is the back of the mountain of the blissful Buddha temple. May I know how you came in? A clear and pleasant voice sounded out. A young lady in her prime was seated in front of a large rock at the center of the pool. Her long black hair was slightly wet from the water, and her appearance was pretty and extremely beautiful. She was comparable to Jingxian. She lacked a little of her tranquil temperament, but had an additional sense of bewitching charm. As for the attire of this woman, it was also irresistible. A golden veil surrounded her body. Moreover, it was of a transparent type. Although she was sitting cross-legged in the pond, it was not difficult to guess that this woman's figure was definitely graceful and enchanting. However, in Wang Kai's eyes, he secretly despised her. He immediately raised his brows. With his hands behind his back, he walked over in an extremely leisurely manner. With a wave of his hand, he dispersed the mist. He looked at her with a rather mocking gaze and smiled faintly. Since you're wearing such sexy and revealing clothes, why are you covering those important parts? Isn't that unnecessary? The pool was extremely clear, and one could see the bottom of the pool with a single glance. It was precisely because of this that Wang Kai frowned. The woman's entire body was surrounded by transparent golden veil. The snow-white outline of her chest was obvious, but the 2 points above were covered by a golden plate. Her slender legs flickered with a soft light. However, there was also a larger golden plate between them. It could be said that her figure was extremely bewitching and enchanting. However, it was faintly discernible, causing one to feel anxious. Amipa, Miao Yin is a layman disciple of the joyful Buddha temple. It's not inappropriate for her to dress up. However, benefactor, why did you swagger in to take a look when you saw Miao Yin bathing and meditating in the pool? Miao Yin's face was as calm as an ancient well, without the slightest shyness or anger. Instead, she was extremely surprised that Wang Kai could come in to take a look so indifferently. If it were someone else, they would definitely be carefully peeping from afar. Even if they rushed over to take a look, their emotions would be ignited. However, Wang Kai did the opposite. His eyes were constantly sizing up Miao Yin's graceful body. However, there wasn't the slightest change in his expression. It was as if he was looking at someone of the same gender as him. A layman disciple of the joyful Buddha temple? Haha, so you're a cultivator who wants to stop his lust? I wonder if Miao Yin, are you the 9th young sovereign on the supreme youth ranking? Wang Kai was originally full of smiles. However, halfway through his words, he suddenly remembered that he had heard of Miao Yin's name in the blissful ancient city's restaurant. Moreover, Miao Yin was also meditating in the blissful Buddha temple. Miao Yin gently nodded. Her face was full of pure smiles. She said softly, Miao Yin couldn't see through Benefactor's realm. In that case, Benefactor should also be a young sovereign on the supreme youth ranking. However, I wonder which rank Benefactor is in the top 10? It really was Miao Yin, who was ranked 9th on the supreme youth ranking. The top 10 all had level 8 bloodline, and their realms were all at the martial emperor realm. Wang Kai's heart was beating like a drum for a moment. His initial calmness and indifference had loosened a little. However, he had heard that this woman was compassionate. Now that he saw that she was not angry, he slowly stabilized his state of mind. Ah, so it's Reverend Miao Yin. I'm not that talented. I'm only ranked 1st. Wang Kai smiled indifferently. With his hands behind his back, he directly sat cross-legged on the shore. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Ranked 1st? Miao Yin frowned slightly. She flipped her hand and took a sovereign steel from the big rock. She stared at it for a long time. When she looked at Wang Kai again, her eyes were full of strangeness. She said softly with a smile, the 1st ranking hasn't been replaced. It's still blood-robed Bodhi. Haha, Reverend Miao Yin is right. Bin Shao is not that talented. He can only be ranked 1st. Wang Kai's expression was indifferent. However, in his heart, he was secretly thinking, why hasn't Fatso Lu come? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Miao Yin and Bloodrobe Bodhi are best friends. Miao Yin spoke again. Although her tone was still gentle, her pronunciation was slightly heavier. This was King embarrassing. Wang Kai was dumbfounded. Chapter 151. It was hard to imagine that the blood-robed Bodhi, Jingxian, would become good friends with Miao Yin. Although Wang Kai did not know Miao Yin well, judging from the rumors and her behavior, she must be a merciful disciple of Buddhism. On the other hand, the blood-robed Bodhi and even Jingxian were ruthless women. The difference between the two was too great. Ahem, the sovereign list that Bin Shao mentioned is not the same. Master Miao Yin's is the sovereign list of youth, while Bin Shao's is the sovereign list of elderly. It is a list of the older generation of martial arts experts from each province. Although this young master is still young, my aptitude and talent are too outstanding. Wang Kai smiled indifferently. As the saying goes, don't refuse anyone. If you panic before the enemy, how can you fight the war? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. The sovereign list of elderly. Miao Yin's expression suddenly became extremely strange. She looked at Wang Kai with a strange look in her eyes and smiled softly in surprise. Why have I never heard of this sovereign list of elderly? It would be strange if you had heard of it. Bin Xiao is not talented. He entered the list when he was 10 years old and stood shoulder to shoulder with the older generation experts of each province. After 6 years of painstaking practice, he was ranked first on the sovereign list. The so-called sovereign list of elderly is naturally only known to the older generation. Because Bin Xiao is used to being carefree, he told Master Miao Yin about it. I hope Master Miao Yin will keep it a secret. Wang Kai shrugged casually and smiled indifferently, his face full of unfathomable meaning. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. If what the benefactor said is true, then Miao Yin is very impressed. What is the benefactor's name? Miao Yin asked, blinking her beautiful eyes. Her pretty face was full of curiosity, as if she had encountered something funny. In Wang Kai's eyes, he suddenly had a feeling that his bragging had been exposed. However, he still maintained a mysterious expression on his face. He smiled faintly and said, Duckweed drifts without roots. Wanderer of the world, don't ask. This young master is not a person of this world, but here I am, living without knowing the passage of time. Unfortunately, I want to die, but in the end, I can't get my wish. Sad. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Not from this world? Could it be that he was from another world? Could he want to die, but can't? Could it be that he was immortal? A strange light flashed in Miao Yin's eyes. Suddenly, her delicate body floated into the air, and a long sword suddenly appeared in her lily-white hand. She looked at Wang Kai with a gentle smile and said softly, Miao Yin is cultivated for 21 years and has never met a person as arrogant as the benefactor. It seems that you and Miao Yin are not fated to meet. Since you can't die, Miao Yin will send you on your way. Send me on my way? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He immediately got up and broke a branch with a wave of his hand. He looked at Miao Yin with a dignified expression, narrowed his eyes, and sneered. Little girl, it's fine to listen to Bin Xiao's bragging, but you actually want to send Bin Xiao on his way? Where to? Isn't it on your bed? No wonder that bald donkey Zineng said that you are a great talent. In terms of bragging ability, you are really invincible. Watch out for my sword. Miao Yin laughed. She waved the long sword in her lily-white hand and swooped down from the sky. Miao Yin, who had such a drastic change in personality, changed her face faster than flipping a book. Wang Kai never thought that under her benevolent smile, there was such a ruthless and ruthless personality. If Jing Xian was a ruthless person, then Miao Yin was a level higher. At least Miao Yin could pretend to be a merciful person, and the outside world would also think that she was a kind person. As for Jing Xian, although she was disguised on the Ling Time Mountain, her personality did not change much. From the way she killed Zhang Ling from the Zhang family in the Elysium ancient city, it could be seen that she was definitely a ruthless person who would kill without saying a word. However, although Miao Yin was not much different from being ruthless and ruthless, she had a good reputation in the world. Even if Wang Kai was killed here, no one would suspect that she was the one who killed him. She really had a dual personality, and her schemes were deep and terrifying. Only Miao Yin was like that. Watch your grandpa. Great reversal swordsmanship. Wang Kai cursed with a dark face. He immediately waved the branch and stabbed upwards. A green sword chi instantly condensed and turned into a streamer, penetrating upwards. The direction of the stab was not Miao Yin's body, but the opposite direction of her. Such a scene immediately caused Miao Yin's expression to become more and more sarcastic. She laughed sarcastically. Zineng, that bald donkey, said that you were a great talent. Are you such a great talent? Even your swordsmanship is like bang, clank. However, before Miao Yin could finish her words, the green sword chi that should have brushed past her suddenly hit Miao Yin's lower abdomen. directly blocking her attack and causing her to retreat a few steps in the void. It's actually such an exquisite swordsmanship. Great reversal swordsmanship. Is it the swordsmanship that can overturn the theorem? Miao Yin's eyes flashed coldly, and her expression was full of surprise and horror. The sword that should not have hit actually hit. It would have been fine if it was an illusion, but it was not an illusion. At this moment, Wang Kai had an unspeakable bitterness in his heart. He had attacked with all his strength, but he could not hurt Miao Yin's body at all. She was indeed a half-emperor expert who cultivated her body at the second realm of the emperor realm. Her body was so strong that it could not be broken. Even though her skin and flesh were not broken, the sound that came out was like the sound of metal colliding. Damn fatty. Although Bin Xiao doesn't know what you want to do, this time I'm in big trouble because of you. When I go back later, I'll definitely give you a good beating. Wang Kai thought fiercely in his heart with a dark face. From Miao Yin's words, he could guess that his coming here must have been discussed with Fatty Lu in advance. And he was indeed called by Fatty Lu. Your swordsmanship is very good. If you hand it over, Miao Yin can let you live for a few more days, but you have to always be with Miao Yin, Miao Yin said with a smile, her eyes full of surprise. However, that smile clearly showed that she was not to be doubted. Little girl, today Bin Xiao has important matters to take care of, so I'll let you go for now. If fate allows us to meet again in the future, I'll definitely ruthlessly torture you. Goodbye, Wang Kai said with a cold smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 5 Martial Emperor. Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai's figure turned into an illusory figure and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Snap! Miao Yin's eyes were extremely cold. She suddenly arrived at the spot where Wang Kai had disappeared. With a swing of a sword in her jade-like hand, she hacked a deep trench into the ground. However, there was no trace of Wang Kai. Such exquisite movement, martial skills, and swordsmanship. Those who knew Miao Yin's nature, other than the blood-clothed Bodhi, are all dead. This person must not be left alive. Whoosh! Miao Yin's figure rose into the air, and she was heading towards the blissful Buddha temple. Chapter 152. Blissful Buddhist Temple, Commandment Hall. After Wang Kai returned to the guest room of the Buddhist temple, he rushed to the Commandment Hall with a gloomy face without saying a word, followed by 2 monks who were at the peak of the quasi-emperor realm. Although they did not know what Wang Kai wanted to do, the 2 monks did not dare to disobey Master Zhichen's order. Damn fatty, I didn't expect you to have the guts to scheme against Bin Xiao after coming to the Buddha continent without learning anything else. Wang Kai clenched his teeth and smiled coldly. He immediately rushed into the commandment hall. His aggressive manner immediately caused the 108 Buddhist arhats to open their eyes at the same time. Fatty Lu, who was sitting under the word commandment, slowly turned around, put his palms together, and said, your uncle. Bang! Before Fatty Lu could finish his words, Wang Kai punched him in the face, and he immediately fell to the ground. His previous solemn appearance had completely disappeared. Instead, he clutched his face and rolled on the ground, screaming, Young Master Kai, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. I'm doing this for your sake. Miao Yin is a famous beauty in the Buddha continent. She's worthy of young Master Kai's extraordinary figure. If you and I weren't brothers who grew up together, how could I introduce her to you? Stop fighting. Bang, bang, bang. However, Wang Kai's face darkened, and he did not care. He sat on Fatso Lu's back and gave him a good beating. Fatso Lu screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Although Wang Kai did not use his battle chi, with his current martial arts realm, his strength alone was enough to make Fatso Lu suffer. The 108 Buddhist arhats were dumbfounded at this moment. They really could not understand why the 2 people who were polite to each other a moment ago were now fighting. However, Fatty Lu's screams and his words and actions immediately exposed his previous gentle facade. For a moment, The 108 Buddhist arhats turned a blind eye and ignored them. How dare you deceive Ben Shao? Not only did you almost cause Ben Shao to lose his life, but more importantly, you were beaten by a little girl and had to flee. Damn fatty, do you know your crime? Wang Kai gritted his teeth and glared at him, looking extremely unfriendly. Fatso Lu really had no words to say now. He could only crawl up with a bloody nose and a swollen face. He said intermittently, "Give Xening an hour. Xening needs to clean up the affairs of the mortal world." Ba, good indeed, good indeed. The 108 arhats of Buddhism put their palms together and chanted. Then they all closed their eyes. When Fatso Lu limped along with Wang Kai to a vegetarian hall, he recounted everything that had happened from the beginning to the end. After listening to him, Wang Kai suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked at him with a playful expression. He sneered and said, "So you mean that Miao Yin came to the blissful Buddhist temple just to catch you and bring you back to the blissful Buddhist temple?" It's a long story. I can only blame myself for being too perfect. I just followed Master Zhichen out for a walk and met the little nun Miao Chun of the blissful Buddhist temple. Since then, the little nun Miao Chun has been infatuated with me, which led to the misfortune. Fatty Lu sighed, but his face was full of pride. Seeing this, Wang Kai became even more disdainful. Immediately, he kicked out fiercely, causing him to fall onto the couch. Then, he sneered disdainfully. "Unfortunate event? Ben Shao, I think you should have met a good thing, right? Since Miao Chun is the junior sister of Miao Yin, you got her into your bed, and in the end, you still won't leave it unsettled? Although you have some of Ben Shao's demeanor, you don't know how to deal with the aftermath. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." Fatty Lu's face was full of disdain when he heard this. He thought to himself, "I see you bragging all day long, but I have never seen you get any beautiful woman into your bed. You haven't even gotten a fiancé yet. You have some of your demeanor, Ba." However, Fatty Lu's face was filled with approval, and he immediately sighed. Alas, if this poor monk had some ability, I presume that little nun Miaochen wouldn't have asked her senior sister to look for trouble with this poor monk. Hee, Fatty Lu, in fact, this is very simple. You just need to follow Miao Yin to the blissful Buddhist temple. Although Ben Shao has not seen Miao Chun, since she is the junior sister of Miao Yin, her appearance should not be bad, right? In this way, won't you be able to recite Buddhist scriptures and try things that the blissful Buddhist temple does not allow you to try? Wang Kai squinted his eyes and said with a playful smile, "No wonder Miao Yin, a lay disciple of the blissful Buddhist temple, would come to the blissful Buddhist temple. It was all because of Fatty Lu. This guy was neither good nor bad, but he got Miao Yin's junior sister, Miao Chun, into his bed. That won't do. I am now the future abbot of the blissful Buddhist temple. If I go to the blissful Buddhist temple, not to mention my status, the blissful Buddhist temple will not agree. Before that, I will be executed." Fatty Lu shook his head fiercely and said. Hearing this, Wang Kai frowned slightly. He did not expect Fatty Lu to have such a status in the blissful Buddhist temple. The future abbot of the blissful Buddhist temple? That's the master of a super force. Since you can be trained as the next abbot by the blissful Buddhist temple, Miao Yin and Miao Chun should know about this matter, right? Wang Kai squinted his eyes and said with a playful smile. Fatty Lu was very practical. He nodded and said, "I didn't know at first, but this poor monk wanted to learn young Master Kai's bragging skills. So this poor monk told them about this matter. Who would have thought that Miaochen would fall in love with this poor monk? If I knew this, I wouldn't have bragged." Haha, so you were taken to the discipline hall to reflect on your mistakes? TSK. I didn't expect that, Fatty Lu. You really have some skills. You just came to the Buddha prefecture, and you got Miao Chun, a lay disciple of the blissful Buddhist temple, one of the two major forces in the Buddha prefecture, into your bed. Wang Kai said with a playful smile, but he was sneering in his heart. If what Fatty Lu said was true, the relationship between him and Miao Chun was probably related to the future abbot of the blissful Buddhist temple. However, Wang Kai still did not understand. If he really liked Fatty Lu's identity as the future abbot, why did he bring him back to the blissful Buddhist temple? Moreover, he should not have exposed this matter to the blissful Buddhist temple. He should have done it secretly. So you are all here. Miaoyin has been looking for you for a long time. Suddenly, a fairy-like voice rang out, causing Wang Kai and Fatty Lu to shiver all over. They quickly looked at each other and looked at the door together with a vigilant expression. At the door, Miaoyin stood with a graceful figure, sexy and charming. Two monks were lying on the ground. They were the Buddhist cultivators that Ji Chun ordered to look after Wang Kai. Chapter 153. Ba, why is Reverend Miaoyin pestering me? I've already cut off 6 of my fingers and entered Buddhism to meditate. I really can't go to the joyful Buddha temple with Reverend Miaoyin. Fatso Lu put his palms together and said gently. Looking at his posture, he really did look like an enlightened monk. Miaoyin's eyes flickered, and she looked at him with a gentle expression. She put her hands in front of her chest and said softly, Ba, since you don't want to go back with Miaoyin, even if Miaoyin is stronger than you, I can't force you. It's just that junior sister Miao Chun has to suffer. Sigh, what an ill-fated relationship. She was really good at acting tough. Wang Kai's face suddenly darkened, and he stared at her with disdain. He immediately sneered, Damn fatso, don't be fooled by her facade. Plop. Before he finished speaking, a sound was heard. Fatty Lu, who was at the side, had already fallen to the ground. As for Miaoyin, she was standing in front of Wang Kai. Her pretty face was filled with a mocking smile. Fatso. Wang Kai's face suddenly changed. He quickly bent down and put his hand under Fatso Lu's nose and carotid artery. When he found that Fatso Lu had only fainted, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Zening, this little bald donkey, still has to meditate with junior sister Miao Chun. How can Miaoyin kill him? Miaoyin smiled faintly and suddenly stretched out her arm and slowly stroked Wang Kai's face. Under Wang Kai's solemn gaze, Miaoyin continued with a gentle smile, You did a good job. If you had told Zening about Miaoyin's nature earlier, Miaoyin would have had to kill him. If that had happened, junior sister Miao Chun would have been heartbroken. Since you were so wise, hand over the body movement, martial skill, and the sword technique, Miaoyin can take you back to the joyful Buddha temple and let you live a peaceful life. Patter. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this. He turned his hand and slapped her jade hand to the side. He looked at her with a rather playful expression and said disdainfully, Little girl Miaoyin, have you been practicing the method of controlling desire all year round, causing you to be short of men? Although this young master is blessed by the heavens and has a handsome appearance that attracts countless beauties, I'm sorry, but this young master has no interest in scheming women. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Bang! Whoa! However, Miaoyin suddenly slapped him. Miaoyin's face, S's, and he flew into the air. Miaoyin and Miaoyin. Of Miaoyin's face. Myf Yin's face. Although Miaoyin doesn't know who you are, with your ability, you can't be one of the top 10 sovereigns on the Supreme Youth list. At most, you could be considered a talent. Even the top 10 sovereigns are not worthy of Miaoyin's attention. You, a mere talent. How dare you say that Miaoyin is interested in you? Oh, Miaoyin knows. You must be bragging, right? Ha ha. Miaoyin covered her face and giggled. Her trembling body was quite alluring. Wang Kai spat out a trail of blood in disdain. He raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth and sneered sarcastically. Miaoyin, you are too narcissistic. Ben Xiao is an amazing talent, outstanding and elegant. In the future, his name will shake the 7 states and 1 island. There are so many beauties in the world. You're just an ordinary one. How dare you say that Ben Xiao is bragging about you? Let me ask, did you go out and look in the mirror? Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai smiled bitterly. Even if he bragged now, he would never be able to catch up with Miao Yin's martial realm. After all, she was ninth on the Supreme Youth list. Not only was her bloodline level 8, but her realm was also at the half-emperor level. How could he catch up with her when he was only a 5th-grade quasi-emperor? The only thing he could do now was to stall for time and hope that the eminent monks of the blissful Buddhist temple would find out soon and come to his rescue. If it weren't for your exquisite agility, martial skill, and sword technique, do you know how many times you would have died by now? Miao Yin narrowed her eyes, and a cold light suddenly appeared, flickering with surging, killing intent. There had never been a man who dared to humiliate her like this. Even if there had been, they would have died long ago. Haha, are you talking your sleep? This young master has an undying body. Even if a golden immortal comes with an immortal saber in hand, he wouldn't be able to harm me in the slightest. Aren't you being a little too pretentious if you intend to harm me with just a mere quasi-emperor like you? Wang Kai sneered disdainfully. However, he was screaming in his heart, "Damn those bald donkeys from the blissful Buddhist temple. Why haven't they come yet?" Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Miao Yin's expression turned colder. She stared at Wang Kai with her knife-like eyes and sneered. Are you trying to stall for time with Miao Yin? If so, you don't have to take any chances. Miao Yin has set up a maze with the supreme emperor-level celestial device of the blissful Buddhist temple. Even if the eminent monks of the blissful Buddhist temple pass by, they won't be able to find this place within an hour. Emperor-level celestial device? Wang Kai's expression changed. He didn't expect her to have an emperor-level celestial device. Even great emperors had to use emperor-level celestial devices to defend against their enemies. Emperor-level celestial devices were even rarer. Haha, your bragging skills aren't any weaker than Ben Shao's. Even if you have an emperor-level celestial device, don't you think no one in the blissful Buddhist temple has one? It's not that Ben Shao wants to boast, but if Ben Shao wants an emperor-level celestial device, he can get countless of them. Wang Kai sneered disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Hearing this, Miao Yin smiled faintly and slowly walked towards Wang Kai. Her red lips parted slightly as she smiled. It's true that the blissful Buddhist temple has an emperor-level ritual implement, but there wouldn't be a monk who would specially bring it here, right? Whoosh! Wang Kai's expression turned solemn. Indeed, an emperor-level celestial device was so powerful and precious. If it wasn't necessary, why would anyone bring it out to run around the blissful Buddhist temple? Big stupid cat, Ben Shao is out of options now. If you don't want to die here with Ben Shao, you'd better think of a way to help Ben Shao escape as soon as possible. Wang Kai had no choice but to secretly communicate with Lord Cat in the Tower of Babel. However, he didn't have much hope. If Lord Cat was at his peak, he would be very powerful. However, he had just recovered to the Emperor realm. It would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to deal with Miao Yin. Boy, it's not that Lord Cat doesn't want to help you. It's that I can't help you. If Lord Cat makes a move, the high monks in the blissful Buddhist temple will notice. At that time, with this woman's cunning, she won't be punished. As for Lord Cat, to tell you the truth, Lord Cat has stolen a lot of treasures from the blissful Buddhist temple. Lord Cat stole more than half of the soul-cleansing water. However, you don't have to worry. As long as she brings you out of the blissful Buddhist temple, Lord Cat will find a way to get rid of her. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers. From Lord Cat's point of view, Wang Kai wouldn't die. After all, Miao Yin still wanted his movement technique and sword technique. Once they left the blissful Buddhist temple, it wouldn't be too late to make a move. Is this the only way? Being with such an unfathomable woman, I can't sleep at night. Wang Kai lamented in his heart. He would rather be threatened and taken away by Jing Xian than be forced to be with Miao Yin. Miao Yin, it seems like I didn't teach you a lesson last time. Suddenly, an extremely cold voice rang out, startling Wang Kai and Miao Yin. Wang Kai was overjoyed, but Miao Yin's face was extremely pale. Jing Xian, blood-robed Bodhi, I wish all of you a happy new year. May you all be prosperous. Bring me the red packets. Hee, it's time to vote. I've been overtaken by someone else. Chapter 154. He saw a figure wrapped in golden Buddhist robes standing at the entrance. Not a trace of skin could be seen, nor could his face be seen. There was no outline to speak of. There was only a bloody and terrifying pressure and a string of Bodhi beads floating above his head. There were a total of 111 Bodhi beads, and they were shining with a colorful brilliance. The colorful airflow that flowed out filled the entire room. Buzz. At the same time, a golden pendant in the shape of a swastika appeared in the room. Waves of profound pressure were currently balancing out the Bodhi pearl. In terms of magical artifacts alone, the two of them were on equal footing. However, Miao Yin's expression was ugly. Although their weapons were equally matched, she would be the one to lose if they fought. Blood-robed Bodhi. When I first met you, this Bodhi bead was only an emperor weapon. I didn't expect it to become an emperor weapon in just a few years. Could it be that you have successfully killed your father? I admit that I am ruthless, but I am not as vicious as you. Miao Yin's eyes flickered as she held the pendant in her hand. She was obviously on guard. Buzz. In an instant, the oppressive aura of the blood-robed Bodhi became extremely cold. She said indifferently, "Back then, I was only an emperor, and I was only one place away from your ranking on the sovereign list. Now, many years have passed, and you're only ranked 9th. I don't want to bully you for your incompetence, so get out of my sight." He, blood-robed Bodhi, senior monk, Ji Kong injured you quite badly back then. Now that we're in the blissful Buddhist temple, Miao Yin can totally reenact that scene again. Miao Yin narrowed her eyes and giggled. Swoosh! Suddenly, the blood-clothed Bodhi's body turned into an illusory figure. Without uttering a single word, he arrived in front of Miao Yin, flipped his hand, and slammed it down on her head. There was a huge gap between their realms. One was ranked 1st on the sovereign youth list, while the other was ranked 9th. Although Miao Yin had been on guard, she still couldn't avoid the blood-robed Bodhi's fierce attacks. Immediately, he took out the swastika pendant and placed it in front of him, blocking the fatal palm strike that was coming towards him. Buzz. Bang. Puff. However, even with the Emperor weapon's defense, Miao Yin was still sent flying while vomiting blood. She violently crashed into the wall. Immediately after, she hurriedly took the swastika pendant and entered it. She turned into a golden ray of light that penetrated into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Blood-robed Bodhi, you're still the same as before. You like to kill your enemies quickly. However, Miao Yin is now protected by an emperor weapon. I'm afraid you'll never be able to kill her. When Miao Yin reaches the 3rd emperor realm in the future, she will come back to take your life. Ha! Miao Yin's tender laughter reverberated in the air, lingering in the ears. Plop! Wow! Wang Kai watched in disbelief as the blood-robed Bodhi knelt down on one knee. The golden Buddhist robe fell to the ground, revealing a face as pale as a sheet of paper. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth as his body trembled. He was actually injured? Quickly repair the Jade Buddha. Jing Xian will not cause any trouble for you in the future. Jing Xian lifted her head and stared coldly at Wang Kai. Although her beautiful face was pale, she was still beautiful. She stretched out her trembling arm and opened her palm. There was a black bottle lying quietly on it. Soul cleansing water. Could it be that she had stolen it? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he saw this. He could not help but narrow his eyes as he looked at her with a mocking expression. He smiled faintly and said, Jing Xian, I'm afraid that your injuries are not light, right? Judging from your appearance, you were not injured by Miao Yin. How much of your strength can you use now? As soon as these words were spoken, Jing Xian's expression turned even colder. She raised her hand to summon the Bodhi bead and said in a chilling tone, Although it's not even 1/10 of my peak strength, it's still easy to kill you here. Patter. Wang Kai smiled indifferently. He flicked his clothes and smiled with his hands behind his back. Little girl Jing Xian, what kind of person do you think Ben Shao is? Bin Xiao would never do such a despicable thing as taking advantage of someone's precarious situation. How much can the people of this world learn from Bin Xiao's noble character and character? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Although he said this, in Wang Kai's heart, he had already entered into a battle between heaven and earth. Jing Xian was the blood-clothed Bodhi's true body. Her methods were ruthless and merciless. She would not give the enemy any chance to stall for time. If the Jade Buddha was truly repaired, and he knew her other identity, with Jing Xian's ruthless personality, who could guarantee that she would not come to kill him again? If she did not come, then everyone would be happy. But what if she really wanted to kill him? Wouldn't that be a trap of his own making? Wang Kai was not confident that he had the ability to make the blood-clothed Bodhi spare his life. If you repair the Jade Buddha, Jing Xian will not come to find trouble with you in the future, let alone see you again. As for Jing Xian's identity as a cultivator of Ling Tai Mountain, you can spread it as you wish. Jing Xian will not care. Jing Xian said as she bit her pale lips. Her mouth was bleeding continuously, but now blood was flowing from her nostrils, eyes, and even ears. She was bleeding from all her orifices. Who exactly did she fight with? How could her injuries be so serious? Wang Kai's expression changed when he saw this. He did not know why, but at this moment, he had completely forgotten about the danger he was in. He immediately came to Jing Xian's side and helped her up. Only then did he realize that she did not have the strength to fight anymore. Now, even resisting his support seemed so powerless. Swoosh! Wang Kai quickly took out the Jade Buddha fragments from the space ring and used his battle chi to fuse them together. When an undamaged Jade Buddha appeared, Jing Xian suddenly reached out and grabbed it. Get out of here. Guard the door for a few days. Don't let anyone enter this room. Jing Xian's voice was extremely weak. She directly sat down cross-legged with the Jade Buddha and slowly closed her eyes without saying a word. When Wang Kai heard this, his face suddenly stiffened. Suddenly, there were 10,000 kinds of regretful cries in his heart. With a dark face, he gritted his teeth and carried Fatso Lu on his back. After glaring fiercely at Jing Xian, he walked out of the room full of resentment. Damn little girl. Bin Xiao saved you out of kindness, but in the end, you spoke in such a tone. You even dared to order Bin Xiao to guard the door for you. You're really abominable. Wang Kai kept cursing. After closing the door, he directly threw Fatso Lu on the ground and sat in front of the door angrily. Chapter 155. After several hours, there was still no sound from the room. Not even a trace of aura could be sensed. Such a situation made Wang Kai frown and ponder. He wondered if Jing Xian had died inside. However, when he thought of that, his heart was filled with worry. He didn't know why, but there would be a day when he was worried about Jing Xian. It should be because we've been together for some time. As the saying goes, affection grows with time. Even as enemies, there are many who have become close friends. Heroes cherish heroes. Yes, that should be it. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 6 Martial Emperor. Fatty Lu had already woken up. Hearing that, he snorted disdainfully. Young Master Kai, can you stop bragging? Now that 2 quasi-emperor monks have died, you still want to guard the door for the blood-clothed Bodhi? Damn Fatty, how many times has Bin Xiao told you this? Those 2 monks were not killed by the blood-clothed Bodhi, but by Miao Yin. If the blood-clothed Bodhi hadn't come in time, I'm afraid both of us would have been unable to escape from his evil clutches. Wang Kai scolded with a dark face. However, Fatty Lu still had a look of disbelief. He curled his lips and snorted disdainfully. Young Master Kai, can you speak the truth? Who is the blood-clothed Bodhi? Who is Miao Yin? One is a demon who kills for fun. The other is a merciful Buddhist cultivator who never kills. Bang! Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he heard that. He suddenly raised his hand and slapped Fatty Lou's head. He was too lazy to continue explaining, but he couldn't help but admire Meow Een in his heart. To be able to be so insidious. She was really powerful. Young Master Kai, regardless of your relationship with the blood-robed Bodhi, the death of two quasi-emperor eminent monks in the blissful Buddhist temple cannot be kept a secret for long. Once Master Ji-chun or the other eminent monks find out, not only will the blood-robed Bodhi be unable to escape, even you and I will be punished. Fatso Lu said seriously. This damn fatty. Wang Kai's forehead was full of black lines. He glared at him fiercely and couldn't be bothered with him anymore. He could only secretly hope that Jing Xian could quickly recover so that he could leave the blissful Buddhist temple as soon as possible. Just as Fatso Lu had said, no one would believe that the two quasi-emperor monks had been killed by Sweet Sound. If the blood-robed Bodhi was found here, he would definitely point the finger at her. After all, she did not have a good reputation. That Meow Een is really powerful. Even though she was forced to flee, she was still able to leave behind such trouble. If Jing Xian had not appeared here, how would she explain the deaths of the two quasi-emperor eminent monks? Was he going to push the blame on a Ben Shao? Damn it, Wang Kaisan thought to himself. He had already classified Meow Een as one of the most dangerous enemies in the world. Clatter. Suddenly, the door of the room opened wide. Wang Kai and Fatso Lu were immediately stunned. They hurriedly turned around to look, but they could not see anything clearly. They only felt a powerful pressure sweep over and directly swept Wang Kai into the room. Bang! Guard the door well. Don't let anyone enter this room. Otherwise, if Wang Kai dies, you will die too. As the door closed again, only Jing Xian's cold and threatening voice, which was filled with murderous intent, could be heard. See, I told you that the blood-robed Bodhi was not a good person. Now you regret it, right? Damn it. Fatso Lu was so angry that his face trembled. He was extremely sullen, but he was also worried and helpless as he sat in front of the door. Even though Fatso Lu's heart was filled with rage, he still had to follow the blood-robed Bodhi's instructions. After all, he could not bear to watch Wang Kai die right in front of his eyes. Your hair. Inside the room, Wang Kai looked at Jing Xian in astonishment. He saw that her originally shaved head now had a full head of long, flowing hair. Furthermore, it was silver white in color. Coupled with her originally extremely beautiful face, she looked even more enchanting at this moment. She was like a fairy who had descended to earth. It was intoxicating and infatuating. Even Wang Kai was dumbfounded at this moment. He looked at her in a daze. When he saw the strange light in her eyes and her gradually reddening face, which made her look even more bewitching, he was so stimulated that he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. 9 years ago, Jing Xian was 10 years old. My mother died of hatred and was poisoned by the 3 Buddhist poisons. She bore 3 fruits on the Bodhi tree. My father broke the 8 major commandments and bore 8 fruits under the Bodhi tree. He then hid in Ling Ci City. Jing Xian cultivated with 11 Bodhi fruits and stood out at the heroes competition in blissful ancient city. She obtained the soul cleansing water and reached the peak of quasi-emperor at the age of 11. She was invited by the eminent monk of blissful Buddhist temple, Ji Kong, to look at the wordless jade wall and comprehend the blood-robed Bodhi's way of massacre. With Buddha in her heart, she attacked mercilessly. Jing Xian fell into a long period of slaughter and did not make any major breakthroughs in her realm for 8 years. She remained at the peak of the quasi-emperor realm. After that, she gradually stopped killing and focused on cultivation. She changed her name to Jing Xian and hid in Ling Tai Mountain. She comprehended the truth of the blood-robed Bodhi's way of massacre. If she wanted to break through to the third emperor realm and become a saint, she would need a blood-robed Bodhi Jade Buddha. At this time, I heard that a blood-robed Bodhi Jade Buddha had appeared, so I rushed to Great Mercy Ancient City to find it. Now, I have swallowed and refined the saint's blood essence on the blood-robed Jade Buddha. With the help of the saint's blood essence, Jing Xian has reached the peak of the third emperor realm. If she wants to become a saint, she must remove the blood of lust poison in the blood essence. As Jing Xian spoke, it was as if she was narrating her hardships. Wang Kai was already shocked. She had reached the peak of the quasi-emperor realm at the age of 11. After 8 years of slaughter, she had only reached the peak of the quasi-emperor realm. How big was the difference in her cultivation speed? The blood of lust poison that you mentioned, why? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. He suddenly felt that he had encountered a wonderful thing, but it also seemed a little unreal. Jing Xian's eyes were calm, and her face was as calm as an ancient well. She raised her hand to stroke her silver-white hair and said indifferently, "The one who created the blood-robed Bodhi Jade Buddha and the Way of Massacre was an ancient senior monk of the blissful Buddhist temple. Later, in the demon region, he fought with a lay disciple of the blissful Buddhist temple. Although he killed the disciple in the end, his blood-robed Bodhi Jade Buddha was stained with the disciple's blood. The two saints' blood essence fused. One is useful for Jing Xian, while the other is harmful to Jing Xian. If Jing Xian doesn't get rid of it, she will have no hope of becoming a saint for the rest of her life and will become a lustful demon. The blissful Buddhist temple uses desire to stop desire. Jing Xian has never cultivated that kind of Buddhist method, so it's difficult for her to suppress the blood desire. Back then, the senior monk was willing to pass away in meditation and use his body to form a jade Buddha body in order to restrain the blood of lust poison. He didn't want to become a lustful demon. Wang Kai swallowed a mouthful of saliva and immediately put his hands behind his back. He pretended to be calm and said with a smile, According to what you said, you want Bin Xiao to give himself to you and get rid of the blood of lust poison. It's not a request. It's an order." Whoosh! Suddenly, Wang Kai only felt a terrifying pressure sweep over him. He was immediately swept to the ground. Before he could react, his clothes were all torn to shreds. He stared at Jing Xian in disbelief. He found that Jing Xian was completely naked at this moment. Her perfect body was emitting a white and soft light. She was extremely beautiful from head to toe. With just a glance, Wang Kai's eyes were burning with anger. No matter what you're thinking, don't forget that you're willing to do this. Don't blame Bin Xiao after this. Bang! In an instant, Wang Kai pushed Jing Xian onto the bed and climbed on top of her in the blink of an eye. After this, there will be no more blood-robed Bodhi in this world. Similarly, there will be no more Wang Kai. Jing Xian frowned slightly. The pain made her groan. Then, she closed her eyes and let Wang Kai do whatever he wanted. Chapter 156. Inside the room, multicolored lights flickered. The Bodhi pearls surrounded the small golden pagoda, quietly floating in the air, bobbing up and down. Bastard Bodhi pearls. Do you really think Lord Cat is willing to look at you? You're just a human. Lord Cat's exasperated voice rang out from the heaven-reaching tower. Whoosh! However, the string of bodhisattva beads suddenly shrank and tightly bound the sky-reaching tower. A clear and pleasant female voice was heard from within the sky-reaching tower. Bastard! You're just an Emperor Artifact Demon Clan Artifact Spirit. How dare you roar at me, an artifact spirit born from heaven and earth? Lord Cat is furious. You've just become an artifact spirit, and Lord Cat is only a temporary artifact spirit. This heaven-reaching tower is not an Emperor artifact. It's only a temporary Emperor artifact. When Lord Cat recovers my peak demon Dao foundation, this heaven-reaching tower will be Lord Cat's most precious artifact. What do you know? Bah! Shameless cat demon. Aren't you still an artifact spirit? Aren't you still an Emperor artifact? Inside the heaven-reaching tower, Lord Cat was so angry that his entire body trembled. His fur stood on end as he stomped his feet and cursed. At the same time, Jing Xian was wearing a golden Buddhist robe. Her silver-white hair flowed smoothly. Her figure was graceful, and her appearance was peerless. She was sitting cross-legged on the couch. She glanced indifferently at Wang Kai, who was lying on the couch, still naked. She shook her head and sighed. Wang Kai, is it my fortune or misfortune to have met you? But it's fine. You've already fallen here. From now on, Wang Kai and the blood-robed Bodhi will no longer exist in this world. There will only be the saintess of the sovereign Taoist sect, Jing Xian. Whoosh! Jing Xian flipped her hand, and the Bodhi pearls floating under the beam turned into a golden hairband. It slowly floated up and coiled her silver-white hair. It added a sense of maturity to Jing Xian's otherworldly temperament. Demon spirit from the Tower of Babel. Although I don't know what kind of demon you are, since you came with Wang Kai, then I will collect his corpse, Jing Xian said emotionlessly. Then, she turned into a ray of light, broke open the door of the room, and disappeared into the horizon. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord's expression was one of disdain. He stroked his long beard and snorted disdainfully. Collect the corpse? If he had really fallen, how could Cat Lord still be in one piece? Do you really not know that Cat Grandpa has made a blood contract with him? Or are you pretending not to know? Suddenly, Fatso Lu rushed in anxiously. When he came to the bedside and saw that Wang Kai was completely naked, he was so angry that his big face shook. He shouted loudly, Wang Kai, you are too unkind. Uncle Lu is worried about you outside, but you are in the room. Ayaya. It's so dry. The bed is so dry that it's cracked. Thump. However, Fatso Lu suddenly realized that no matter how much he scolded, Wang Kai did not respond at all. His body did not even move. Such a scene caused Fatso Lu's expression to change greatly. He quickly reached out his hand and placed it on Wang Kai's nose, carotid artery, heart. Wow. Young Master Kai. Little did he know that the blood essence of a saint contained the poison of the flame of lust. Even if a saint was poisoned, he would not be able to get rid of it. Otherwise, the eminent monk who created the blood-robed Bodhi form would not have chosen to die in a seated position to suppress it. And Wang Kai was unconscious because of the blood essence of the saint. Host, the blood essence of the saint that contains the poison of the flame of lust has been transferred into your body by Jing Xian. To ensure your personal safety, the system has temporarily suppressed it. Your thoughts are also sealed in the system. If you want to remove it with your martial arts realm, you will need to spend 1,000 bragging points. If you want to force it out of your body, you will need 500 bragging points. Suppressing it for a month will require 200 bragging points. Host, please make your decision as soon as possible. Otherwise, the system will end your journey in this alternate world. Wang Kai lay on the bed with his eyes tightly shut. He was not breathing at all, and there was no heartbeat. His body had also entered a cold state. Only his thoughts were preserved in the system. When he heard the system's notification, Wang Kai did not hesitate. He quickly said, suppress it in my body for now. Congratulations to the host for successfully suppressing the blood essence of the saint. 200 bragging points have been consumed. Young Master Kai, why did you die so easily? This is not in line with your personality. You were actually toyed to death by a woman. Isn't that a little too shameful? If I knew that the blood-robed Bodhi was a woman and that her appearance was so beautiful, I could have done it for you. Your body may not be able to do it, but I can. Young Master Kai. My poor young Master Kai. I can't believe that he was toyed to death by a woman. Don't worry, I can't defeat the blood-robed Bodhi now, but I will definitely be able to kill her in the future. Right now, I'm going to ask that old bald donkey, Ji Chun, to kill her. Fatty Lu wiped away his tears. Both of his eyes were red from crying. His face was filled with ferocity as he glared furiously. After uttering those words, he turned around and rushed out of the room. In his heart, he wanted to chase the blood-clothed Bodhi to death. Jing Xian, whoosh! Wang Kai's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. He sat up and looked at the empty room. His face immediately darkened with anger. He gritted his teeth and said, you want to leave after eating everything and wiping your mouth? Do you think it's so easy to obtain my chastity? Even if that fairy from the ninth heaven descends to the mortal world, if she wants to obtain my chastity, she will have to cry and beg. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Kid, stop bragging. She has already brought you to justice and left unscathed. She even transferred the saint's blood essence into your body. I'm already very surprised that you're still alive. I only hope that you won't turn into a demon of lust in the future and harm the 6 prefectures and 1 island. Cat stroked his long whiskers and sneered with disdain. Turn into a demon of lust? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and sneered with disdain. If Bin Xiao turns into a demon of lust, all the beauties in the world will have to serve him. What's more, it's just a saint's blood essence. Now that Bin Xiao has suppressed it, getting rid of it will be a small matter. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Go on, continue bragging. Cat wants to quietly watch you brag. TSK. That Jingxian is also very powerful. Not only did she transfer the saint's blood essence that contained the fire poison into your body, but she also used it to reach the safe-to-be realm in one fell swoop. I'm afraid that she's not far from becoming a saint. Once she passes the saint tribulation, a saint with extraordinary potential will appear in the 6 prefectures and 1 island. And you? Hee, it's not that Cat is looking down on you, but you can only hold back your tears, hug your quilt, and cry back your chastity in bed. Cat stroked his long whiskers and sneered. Wang Kai's expression was extremely calm when he heard this. He elegantly took out a white robe and slowly put it on. He smiled faintly and said, "If there's a first time, there will be a second time. That little girl wants to escape from Bin Xiao's 5-finger mountain? She's just a fool's dream. She's just shy now. When Bin Xiao finds her, he only needs to give her a look and she'll immediately, obediently offer herself to him." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Happy New Year! Let's eat dumplings tonight. Chapter 157. Inside the Nirvana Hall, there was no Buddha statue or incense table. There was only a jade wall that floated quietly in the air and spread out like a scroll. At this moment, there were hundreds of young experts gathered. All of them were sitting on the praying mats. They lifted their heads and looked at the jade wall that did not have any words written on it with a puzzled expression. Master Ji Chun and an angry monk stood on both sides of the jade wall. The monk also had 10 scars on his head. The scars were not meant to be violated. In the blissful Buddhist temple and the entire Buddha continent, the scars represented one's faith and sincerity towards Buddhism. At the same time, it also represented one's Buddhism realm and identity. Junior brother Ji Chun, even if we invite all the talents from the Human Hero competition to the Nirvana Hall, I'm afraid that they won't be able to comprehend the Buddhist Dharma on the wordless jade disc. Why don't we let them fight it out and let the winner come here to observe? It's better than wasting time now. The angry monk said flatly. In his opinion, among the top 100 talents, top 500 supreme talents, and top 1,000 geniuses, only the top 100 talents would have the chance to comprehend the Buddhism way on the wordless jade wall. Moreover, only the most powerful of the top 100 talents would have the chance to comprehend the Buddhism way on the wordless jade wall. When Master Ji Chun heard this, he shook his head and put his palms together. He smiled warmly and said, "Senior brother Ji Kong, the Buddhism way should be chosen for those who are fated to comprehend it. Even if they are not talented enough, they can comprehend the Buddhism way on the wordless jade wall." Master Ji Chun. Master Ji Chun. Oh no, young Master Kai. Ahem, Wang Kai has been played to death by the vicious woman, blood-robed Bodhi, through the dual cultivation method. Now, he is lying naked on the bed in the dining hall. Suddenly, Fatty Lou's squeal that sounded like a pig being slaughtered rang out. Instantly, everyone in the Nirvana Hall widened their eyes. Even Ji Chun and Ji Kong were dumbfounded. Dual cultivation method? Blood-robed Bodhi was a woman. She had played Wang Kai to death. Master Ji Chun, hurry up and capture that vicious woman blood-robed Bodhi and punish her. She actually dared to have sex in such a solemn place like the blissful Buddhist temple. She even toyed with benefactor Wang Kai to death. She has already violated the precepts of the Buddhist sect. Fatty Lou ran in with a fierce look on his face. His eyes were still bloodshot, and there were still traces of tears on his face. It was obvious that he had been crying all the way here. At the same time, Wang Kai was putting on his robes in his room. Looking at the broken bed beneath him, he couldn't help but shrug his shoulders. He smiled proudly and said, Bin Xiao's body is really strong. Others can have sex with 10 women in a night, but Bin Xiao can have sex with hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but use his mind to glance at the system message. Host, Wang Kai occupation, warrior cultivation, rank 6 martial emperor martial arts, Taiju emperor technique martial arts. So close, yet so far, grass and wood soldiers, cutting all things, life and death 5 fists, inverted sword, vitality bomb equipment, Tong Tian Tower bloodline. Level 7 bragging points, 199 experience, 40,000,700,000 inch. If I want to remove the sage's blood essence, I will need 1,000 bragging points. Even if I want to expel it from my body, I will need 500 bragging points. Every month, I will need 200 bragging points. If this goes on, I won't be able to do it. Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself, if it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have enough bragging points, he wouldn't have needed to suppress it temporarily. Jingxian, Bin Xiao sacrificed himself to save you. Bin Xiao's most precious chastity was ruined by you. In the end, you transferred the sage's blood essence that contained the flame of lust into Bin Xiao's body. When Bin Xiao finds you in the future, he will definitely fight you for 1,000 days and nights to vent his anger. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Tisk Tiske, it's not that Lord Cat is looking down on you, but to think that Jingxian left after becoming a sage-to-be, and you can only lie unconscious on the bed. With such a weak physical body, you still want to fight her for 1,000 days and nights? I'm afraid that after 3 days and nights, with the difference in martial arts between the two of you, you will definitely lose consciousness again. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and mocked him disdainfully. Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. With his hands behind his back, he leisurely walked out of the dining hall and smiled indifferently. If she can become a sage-to-be, so can Bin Xiao. Even if Bin Xiao is only a quasi-emperor now, if he wants to, he can shock a sage to death with one hand. She is only a sage-to-be now, so Bin Xiao only needs to shake his body to torment her to death. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Young Master Kai. Cough, cough, Benefactor Wang Kai. You died so miserably. You were actually toyed to death by that vicious woman, the blood-clothed Bodhi. Don't worry, the blissful Buddha temple will definitely avenge you. Suddenly, an ear-piercing howl was heard. Wang Kai, who had just walked out of the room, immediately turned black. He raised his head and stared at Fatty Lou. However, he discovered that there were hundreds of young experts behind him. Bastard! Bin Xiao is a supreme being. His physical body is so strong that he can crush mountains with his feet and split the sea with his hands. How could such an outstanding person like Bin Xiao be toyed to death by a woman? Damn, Fatty, it seems that Bin Xiao did not beat you lightly. Wang Kai coldly smiled fiercely. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 7 Martial Emperor. Buzz. Whoosh. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, the supreme steel in Wang Kai's bosom floated out. All the supreme steels of the young generation also floated out at the same time. The information on them was gradually changing. Wang Kai, 16 years old. Rank 7 bloodline. Rank 7 first emperor realm. Rank 12th. Heavens. He actually reached the 12th rank. Rank 7, First Emperor Realm. How could he reach the 12th rank? The top 20 are all young experts at the peak of Rank 9, First Emperor Realm. Many young geniuses cried out in surprise, especially the 8 young experts. At that moment, their faces were terrifyingly dark. They were all in the top 20. And now, the 20-rank genius was pushed to the 21st rank by Wang Kai. The other geniuses were also 1 rank behind. Young Master Kai, you didn't die. That's great. I knew it. Young Master Kai, with your extraordinary figure, how could that little girl, the blood-clothed Bodhi, toy with you to death? Fatty Lu wiped his eyes, then dove down from the sky in joy. Bang! Scram! However, he was kicked by Wang Kai and was sent flying backwards. Wang Kai furrowed his brows and looked at the young experts in the sky. Seeing that their expressions were extremely strange, he inwardly sighed. With a slightly stiff smile, he asked, "Do you believe what he said?" What he received were the suspicious gazes of many young experts. Although Zinang's cultivation wasn't high, he was the future abbot of the blissful Buddha temple. Jikong and Jichun were also present. How could he lie? Sigh, looks like Ben Shao's reputation has been ruined in the hands of that damn fatty. But that's fine. As the saying goes, if a young man isn't romantic, he'll be wasting his youth. You're right. The blood-clothed Bodhi is a woman. She's just my wife. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. On the first day of the new year, I wish all of you a happy new year. Chapter 158. Wife. The blood-robed Bodhi, who was ranked first on the Youth Sovereign leaderboard, was actually a woman. Just this fact alone was enough to shock everyone. Now that they heard Wang Kai call her his wife, they were so shocked that their mouths were wide open and they were speechless for a long time. Haha, it's just a small matter. What's there to be surprised about? The blood-robed Bodhi has outstanding talent and is a supreme figure of the younger generation. As for Ben Shao, he is elegant and extraordinary. He is the model youth of the 7 prefectures in 1 island. The 2 of us together are a match made in heaven. Wang Kai smiled casually. His expression was calm, as if he was talking about something very ordinary. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Everyone's mouth twitched when they heard this. It was fine if he was bragging, but he was bragging in such a calm manner. If he said he was not showing off, who would believe him? Young Master Kai, this bragging is really domineering. Uncle Lu, ahem, Amitba. Benefactor Wang is extraordinary and has the demeanor of a poor monk in the secular world. Fatty Lu put his palms together and said with a gentle smile. Jichun and Jikong frowned slightly and looked at each other. Jikong asked, Benefactor Wang, has the blood-robed Bodhi left the blissful Buddhist temple? Do you know where she went? Hee, this matter couldn't be more obvious. The 2 of us have just committed to each other for 3 lifetimes. Naturally, we have to prepare for the important matter of marriage. Now, she has naturally chosen a residence with beautiful scenery and is waiting for this young master to go and spend a night with her. Wang Kai shrugged and glanced at Ji Kong with disdain. It was as if he was saying that Ji Kong was stupid. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Ji Kong's frown deepened when he heard this. It made his angry look even more terrifying. He immediately shook his head and denied, "It's impossible. The blood-robed Bodhi came to the temple not long ago to steal the soul-cleansing water. I have already severely injured her. Although she used an emperor weapon to escape, there is no way she can recover from her injuries." So he is bragging again. Everyone rolled their eyes when they heard this. They all looked at Wang Kai with disdain. They really thought that he could marry the blood-robed Bodhi, but now they knew that it was all a lie. However, when these words entered Wang Kai's ears, it immediately changed its meaning. If he had heard of this before, he might not have felt much, but now that he and Jing Xian were husband and wife, An inexplicable anger immediately rose from the bottom of his heart. Old bald donkey, you actually dared to injure Ben Xiao's cute Jingxian. If Ben Xiao gets the chance, he will definitely make you regret it for the rest of your life. Wang Kaisin thought fiercely in his heart, but his face was extremely calm. He glanced at him indifferently and said with a smile, "Senior monk, are you joking? If my wife was really injured, how could she have become a half-saint? If you don't believe me, you can take out the Supreme Stone Tablet and take a look." Half-saint. Ji Kong and Ji Qin's expressions changed when they heard that. They looked at the young experts at the side without giving them any chance to explain. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, all the young powerhouses took out their sovereign stone steels. With a thought, the information of the first young sovereign appeared on the steels. Jing Xian, 19 years old. Grade 8 bloodline. Half-saint. Ranked first. She is the current saintess of the sovereign Taoist sect. She used the name Blood-Clothed Bodhi to cultivate. She killed countless villains and destroyed the cities where villains gathered. Such a piece of news instantly shocked everyone who saw it. I didn't expect the Blood-Clothed Bodhi's real name to be Jing Xian. Now that she has become a half-saint, she has even been chosen as the saintess of the sovereign Taoist sect. Now, all the female experts on the Youth Sovereign Leaderboard have no chance of becoming the saintess of the Sovereign Taoist sect. At most, they will become disciples of the Sovereign Taoist sect. Now that the saintess of the Sovereign Taoist sect is confirmed to be Jing Xian, then the saintess, I wonder which of the top 10 young sovereigns will reach the half-saint realm first? I heard that the saintess and saintess of the Sovereign Taoist sect are bound to get married. I wonder if Wang Kai. Many experts of the younger generation had strange expressions on their faces as they looked at Wang Kai with inexplicable mockery. What were you guys whining about just now? The saintess and saintess of the Sovereign Taoist sect? What do you mean? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes as he stared at them with an unfriendly expression. However, everyone looked at each other, and in the end, a hero ranked 13th stepped forward. No one would choose to hide the truth from Wang Kai if they could give him a blow. They all thought that it would be the best thing to do if he said it out loud. I'm the 12th Kof, 13th talent on the Youth Sovereign Leaderboard. I am an alchemist from the Sun Moon Island. My name is Qiu Bei. Qiu Bei said in a somewhat unnatural manner. If Wang Kai had not taken a spot, the current 12th spot would have been his. Wang Kai was extremely impatient when he heard that. He frowned and waved his hand. Let's get down to business. Qiu Bei's expression froze as a cold light flashed in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and sneered. Brother Wang, you don't know this. The reason why the Sovereign Taoist sect uses the Sovereign Stone Tablet to evaluate the younger generation of the 6 prefectures and 1 island is to choose the saintess and saintess of the Sovereign Taoist sect. Once they succeed in their selection, it means that the 2 of them will be the sect masters of the Sovereign Taoist sect in the future. The Sovereign Taoist sect is mysterious and has no fixed residence. The number of experts is even more unknown. However, it has always been above the various major powers of the 6 prefectures and 1 island. Naturally, the saintess has already been chosen by the blood-clothed Bodhi Jingxian. Now, they are only lacking a saintess. Once the saintess appears, the 2 of them will become husband and wife and rule the Sovereign Taoist sect together. After speaking, Qiu Bei looked at Wang Kai with a face full of ridicule. The expressions of the many young experts in the surroundings were also filled with ridicule and mockery. Brother Wang, I advise you to give up on that Jingxian. She is now the saintess of the Sovereign Taoist sect. With the might of the Sovereign Taoist sect, the saintess is not allowed to have any connections with anyone other than the saintess. That's right. The Sovereign Taoist sect is powerful and unfathomable. Even the various major powers of the 6 prefectures and 1 island have all taken the initiative to let their outstanding disciples participate in the evaluation of the Sovereign Stone Tablet in order to be able to unite with the Sovereign Taoist sect. Although Brother Wang has some talent, if you want to step into the top 10 and break through to the semi-sage stage before the other young sovereigns, it will be a little difficult. As the saying goes, it's better to have a short pain than a long pain. Brother Wong, you should bear the pain and give up. In an instant, many young experts mocked and immediately felt extremely carefree in their hearts. To be able to ridicule Wong Kai like this, the anger for being surpassed by him had pretty much dissipated. Are you guys done acting cool over there? Wong Kai's face was dark and gloomy as he narrowed his eyes and stared at them with an unfriendly expression. That ferocious look of him, gnashing his teeth, caused everyone's hearts to skip a beat. I would like to thank the fellow Taoists who have tipped me. I would like to thank the fellow Taoists who have voted for me. I was a little slow because all the guests had arrived, and I was a little too busy. Chapter 159. Hearing this, Qiu Bei's gaze turned vicious. He suddenly flicked his finger and shot out streaks of gray flames, which turned into balls that circled around his body. He laughed coldly. Wong Kai, you are merely a 7th-grade quasi-emperor. Even if you have the ability to fight someone 2 grades above you, from what I have heard, it is only your clones that are slightly more powerful. Unfortunately, any clones will be useless in front of my virtual fire. Ethereal fire, gray flames. Seeing this, Wong Kai narrowed his eyes. Previously, he had met the weapon cultivator from Sun Moon Island, Bai He. The fire he used was called ordinary fire, which was yellow in color. It was used to control treasures and weapons to defend against enemies. As for Qiu Bei, he called himself a pill cultivator from Sun Moon Island and did not have any treasures or weapons. With just his flames, he could make his clone useless? Qiu Bei, are you bragging to Ben Xiao? Forget about a mere virtual fire. Even if it's a stronger flame, this young master can instantly extinguish it with just a mouthful of spit. Wong Kai said with an indifferent expression. Congratulations to host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Hearing this, everyone rolled their eyes. They had seen bragging, but they had never seen someone bragging like Wong Kai. Ignorant fool. Ordinary fire is a fire that only one person can awaken in 100 people. It can be used to refine pills and weapons to defend against enemies. As for ethereal fire, it needs to swallow 1,000 cultivators who have awakened ordinary fire and condense it from the 1,000 ordinary fire. Do you know what this means? Qiu Bei snorted arrogantly. Swallow 1,000 cultivators, ordinary fire? Hearing this, Wong Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him with disdain. He curled his lips and sneered. Are you trying to tell Ben Xiao that ethereal fire is 1,000 times stronger than ordinary fire? Humph. You only obtain this power by forcefully snatching and swallowing the ability of others. What is there to brag about? Haha, Brother Wong is right. He, Qiu Bei, is just a useless pill cultivator. Suddenly, an extremely familiar laughter sounded. In the distant void, for figures were rapidly approaching. Bai He, Hu Qinxiu, flowing cloud sky berserk. Murong Qingyi. When Bai He and his brothers arrived beside Wong Kai, the expression of Qiu Bei, who was high up in the sky, immediately turned extremely green. He coldly said, Bai He, the 4 of you were able to luckily escape previously. This time around, it will not be so easy. Haha, Qiu Bei, after the battle outside the ancient city of bliss, we 4 brothers have made breakthroughs in our cultivation. We have now reached rank 7 quasi-emperor. On top of that, we have 4 emperor-level magic artifacts. Do you still have a way out? Bai He sneered. Whoosh, swish, swish. In an instant, Bai He held a wooden sword in his hand. Hu Qianqiu swung a huge wooden stick. Lu Yin Tianquang held a Dao talisman floating in front of him. He held a wooden brush and touched the talisman. Murong Qingye held a wooden saber. The corner of Wong Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this scene. His expression was strange as he blinked his eyes. Immediately, he laughed dryly. Since the 4 of you are so interested, I will leave Qiu Bei to the 4 of you to deal with. Haha, Brother Wong. The 4 of us have now stepped into rank 7 quasi-emperor. After we defeat Qiu Bei, we will definitely look for Brother Wong for another battle. Bai squinted his eyes and laughed. Ha ha! Hu Qinxiu and the rest also grinned and laughed softly. They all looked at Wang Kai with an unfriendly expression. Seeing this, Wang Kai instantly raised his eyebrows. The guilt he felt at the beginning was instantly dispelled. He immediately shrugged his shoulders and lightly nodded with a smile. Huh. Then I will wait at the side for the four of you to return victorious. Ayo. Hu Qinxiu instantly transformed into a demonic beast. Two black wings spread out, and his huge demonic beast body covered the sky. He roared at Wang Kai as if provoking him. Then, he grabbed the wooden stick with his claws and took the lead to attack Xiao Bei. Haha, I'll let you show off. You will see later. If that Xiao Bei can't torture you to death, this young master will also give you a good beating. Wang Kai's face was as calm as an ancient well, but his heart was viciously thinking. They didn't know how high-spirited Bai he and the other three brothers were. After obtaining the Emperor weapon and returning to the ancient city of bliss, they found Xiao Bei and fought a great battle. Although they were no match for him in the end, they used the Emperor weapon to successfully escape. They also used that battle to comprehend their own cultivation techniques. They continuously broke through ranks and reached rank 7 Quasi-Emperor. Those who were able to enter the top 100 of the Youth Sovereign Leaderboard were all outstanding talents. Breaking through a few ranks consecutively did not cause much commotion. Immediately, Bai he used Mortal Fire to control the wooden longsword. Lu Yun Tianquang used the wooden brush to circulate spirit energy to carve a Dao talisman, and Murong Qingye brandished the wooden longsword and attacked Xiao Bei together with Hu Qinxiu. Amipa, junior brother Ji Chun, don't interfere in this matter. They are all outstanding talents on the Youth Sovereign Leaderboard. As long as there are no casualties, let them go. The winner will be able to view the wordless Jade Disc. When Monk Ji Chan was about to stop them, Monk Shi Kong, who was at the side, stopped him. Amipa. Good. Hearing that, Ji Chun could only sigh. He understood Ji Kong's personality very well. As the guardian Vajra of the blissful Buddha temple, he would settle everything through a competition. Suddenly, under everyone's astonished gaze, Hu Qinxiu swung his wooden stick and smashed it on the gray virtual fire around Xiao Bei. However, the following scene made everyone dumbfounded. Crack! The wooden stick that Hu Qinxiu was proud of instantly shattered into wood shavings. Under the burning of the virtual fire, it turned into ashes and drifted in the air. At the same time, Murong Qingye, who was attacking from the other side, also suffered the same fate. His long blade was shattered and burned into ashes. The two brothers exchanged glances and their faces stiffened. This is the Emperor artifact? You're courting death. Bang! Whoa! Xiao Bei snorted coldly. He flipped his hand and shot out two streams of virtual fire, causing Hu Qinxiu and Murong Qingye to fall from the sky. When Baihe and Lu Yun Tianquang saw that, the corners of their mouths twitched. They quickly clenched their fists. With two cracking sounds, the sword and wooden brush were shattered into pieces. Seeing that scene, their hearts jumped violently. They looked at each other and cupped their fists. We'll discuss this battle another day. Swish! Without any hesitation, the two of them flipped in the air. Wait for brother Hu. Hu Qinxiu and Murong Qingye didn't dare to stay any longer. They endured the injuries on their bodies and turned into a stream of light to escape. CK Wang Kai. Us four brothers will definitely get back at you in the future. In the air, there was only Baihe and the other three's cries of grief and indignation. They all thought that it was Wang Kai's doing, and in fact, it was indeed so. They're just four idiots. Wang Kai, don't think that you can escape safely like they did. This emperor can take their lives at any time he wants. As for you, even if you don't die today, you'll be crippled. Xiao Bei laughed proudly. After defeating the four heroes with one move, it immediately attracted the admiration of many young experts. Among them, there were even many female cultivators who secretly had feelings for him. Chapter 160. Everyone in the world knows how to say awesome words, but the only one who can really do it is this young master alone in today's world. With your weak, ethereal fire, Bin Xiao won't even bat an eye at you. Wang Kai sneered with disdain. Congratulations, host, for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Brother Wang is right. Everyone knows how to brag, but you keep saying that senior brother Chio's ethereal fire isn't strong. Why don't you dare to attack him? Could it be that you're scared? A white-clothed woman with a pretty face snorted coldly. Chiu Bei glanced at her with admiration and nodded with a smile. Junior sister, you must be a cultivator of the spiritual state, right? You're very good. After I defeat this Wang Kai, I'll take you on a tour of the Elysium ancient city. Thank you, senior brother Chiu. The woman in white blinked her beautiful eyes, and there was a hint of joy in them. Then, she looked at Wang Kai with even more disdain and said with a mocking smile, Wang Kai, you are only 16 years old. It is already very rare for you to have such a high level of martial arts. I advise you to hide quickly and cultivate for a few more years before you come out to brag. Little girl, do you know what white means? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at her with a mocking expression. The woman in white frowned when she heard this. She could see the disdain on Wang Kai's face, so she snorted coldly and asked, What does it mean? White means pure and untainted. And you, such a shameless woman. You have the nerve to wear a white dress. Didn't the elders in your clan reprimand you? You're even shameless enough to stick to Chiu Bei. Idiot, do you want to play a round of lovey-dovey in the Elysium ancient city and have a baby next year? Wang Kai sneered with disdain. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the white-clothed woman was angered to the point her beautiful face turned livid. Her delicate figure trembled as she pointed at Wang Kai, yet she didn't know how to reply. She could only use an extremely aggrieved gaze to look at Chiu Bei as she sobbed and cried out in a delicate voice, Senior brother Chiu, help junior sister teach him a good lesson. It would be best if we could cripple him and bring him out of the Elysium ancient city. Junior sister wants to throw him into the snake den. What a sinister and vicious woman. As soon as these words were spoken, it instantly caused everyone present to gasp in unison. They really didn't expect that this woman would actually be so ruthless. Not only did she want to cripple Wang Kai, she actually wanted to throw him into the snake cave. Ba, good indeed, good indeed. Monk Shichen put his palms together and sighed sorrowfully. At this moment, Chiu Bei's expression was slightly stiff. Suddenly, he felt extremely unwilling to be together with this woman. What should he do if he was thrown into the snake cave one day? He immediately smiled and said, Don't worry, junior sister. Senior brother will definitely cripple him. Whoosh! Sizzle! Sizzle! The balls of gray flames gathered into a ball and floated in front of Chiu Bei. Then, with a flick of his finger, several streams of gray flames directly penetrated Wang Kai below. You're just a mere ethereal fire. How dare you act tough in front of Bin Xiao? Don't you know that Bin Xiao is the ancestor of fire? Wang Kai's expression was full of disdain as he snorted coldly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. 8 inner hidden gates. Emperor's doppelganger. Swoosh, swoosh. When streams of black and blood-red air currents appeared around Wang Kai's body, 9 doppelgangers floated out of his body in succession. They immediately turned into phantoms and flew up into the sky to meet the attack. I've already said that the Emperor's doppelganger is just a decoration in front of ethereal fire. Destroy! Chiu Bei shouted coldly and suddenly waved his hands. Streams of gray, ethereal fire the size of a thumb penetrated down densely. Puff! Puff! Buzz! In an instant, Wang Kai's 9 avatars were all destroyed by the ethereal fire. They had no ability to resist at all. Just the moment they came into contact with the ethereal fire, they disappeared without a trace. Battle Chi cover. Wang Kai's heart thumped violently when he saw this. He had never thought that the ethereal fire would be so powerful. He immediately shouted loudly and waved his hand to cover his body with battle chi. Bang, bang, crack, crack. However, even the battle chi barrier formed by battle chi gradually cracked under the attack of the gray ethereal fire. This scene immediately caused Wang Kai to frown. His body rapidly flashed back and forth in the void. He retreated a full 1,000 meters before he stopped with a serious expression. Do you know now? In front of ethereal fire, the Emperor's doppelganger is just a decoration. Without the power of the doppelganger, you're just a mere 7th grade quasi-emperor. Even if you can burn your bloodline and soul, you'll only be comparable to an 8th grade quasi-emperor. But this emperor, I'm a peak 9th grade quasi-emperor. Qiu Bei sneered arrogantly. He looked at Wang Kai as if he was looking at a dead man. Senior brother Qiu is really powerful. Wang Kai, do you know now? With your insignificant strength, you want to compete with senior brother Qiu? You're overestimating yourself. Many experts of the younger generation were excited. They were looking forward to Wang Kai being crippled by Qiu Bei. In that case, there would be one less strong opponent on the Youth Sovereign leaderboard, especially the lady in white. At this moment, she was cheering as if Wang Kai was destined to lose. Ethereal fire was actually so powerful. It was really shocking when one did not see it. Wang Kai's expression was very serious. This was the first time in his life that he had seen the might of an alchemist. Even though there were alchemists in the Fan province, most of them did not know how to use martial arts. They could only refine pills. As for the spiritual province's alchemist, he only possessed mortal fire. However, he did not have the ability to burn a doppelganger. This also proved that when 1,000 mortal fires gathered in a single person's body, the power obtained was indeed enormous. Even the Emperor's doppelganger was unable to shake it in the slightest. It was not a difference in strength, but an absolute suppression. Ethereal fire was truly the natural enemy of the Emperor's doppelganger. Host, Wang Kai profession, martial artist realm, 7th grade martial emperor cultivation technique, Taiju divine emperor technique martial skills, so close, yet world apart, grass and wood soldiers, myriad cuts, 5 fists of life and death, great upside-down sword, origin energy bullet equipment, heaven-reaching pagoda bloodline, 7th grade bragging points, 289 experience, 600007000 currently. He was only a 7th stage quasi-emperor. If the doppelganger was ineffective, then the 8 inner hidden gates could only deal with an 8th stage quasi-emperor. If he wanted to defeat Qiu Bei, he would need to be at least an 8th stage quasi-emperor. After Wang Kai quickly glanced at it, he activated his mind to close it. In the blink of an eye, he looked indifferently at the complacent Qiu Bei. He shook his head and sighed with a smile. Qiu Bei, the heavens want you dead. You can't blame anyone else. Wang Kai, don't tell me you have other tricks up your sleeve. I advise you to stop dreaming. Die. Whoosh. In an instant, Qiu Bei swooped down from the sky. In his heart, he was somewhat uncertain about Wang Kai. If he really took out a powerful method, then it would definitely be difficult for him to survive. Thinking of Zhang Yuan, Shang Qianin, Shang Yuntian, and Zhang Buffan's miserable end, Qiu Bei's body instantly trembled. No matter what, he was not willing to give Wang Kai any chance to turn things around. However, seeing that, Wang Kai casually shrugged his shoulders. With an indifferent expression, he stood where he was and did not move or dodge in the slightest. Instead, he mockingly smiled and said, Bin Xiao is truly the most handsome male in the world. His masculine aura can make fairies take off their clothes and serve him. He can make immortal women who have not aged for 10,000 years be infatuated with him. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and becoming an 8th stage martial emperor. Whoosh! Wang Kai's feet fiercely tapped. His originally motionless body suddenly soared into the sky. He immediately clenched his fists and battle chi covered his fists. Within the azure battled chi, there were strands of black and white air currents mixed within. The azure was battled chi, the white was spiritual energy, and the black was demonic chi. In the blink of an eye, he was about to meet Xiao Bei, who was swooping down. So close, yet worlds apart. Whoosh! A mirage split out from Wang Kai's body. It only flashed for a moment before disappearing. In the eyes of the crowd, Wang Kai's body suddenly stopped in midair, as if he was half stupefied. Ha ha! Idiot! You're the one who's looking for death. Don't blame me for not being merciful. Seeing that, Xiao Bei loudly laughed. With a flick of his finger, the gray-colored ethereal fire entered Wang Kai's body. However, before Xiao Bei could announce his victory, Wang Kai's body that should have been burnt to ashes by the ethereal fire actually instantly returned to its original appearance. There was not even the slightest bit of injury. Even a corner of his clothes did not have a trace of being burnt. How is this possible? Is it an illusion? No, absolutely impossible. In front of the ethereal fire, no matter if it's a clone or an illusion, there is nowhere to hide. Xiao Bei's face was ashen as he furiously roared. Immediately, he crazily scattered the ethereal fire, drowning Wang Kai in midair. This time, you're definitely going to die. Are you done showing off? You fought enough, right? It's been Xiao's turn now, right? Fifth punch, life and death. As Wang Kai's disdainful laughter rang out, it immediately caused Xiao Bei's expression to be overwhelmed with shock. The crowd also focused their attention on the area where the gray-colored ethereal fire had spread. However, they were unable to see anything. Bang! Bang, 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 bang. A series of 5 muffled explosions rang out. Only then did the crowd see that Wang Kai was already standing behind Xiao Bei. His fists fiercely smashed onto Xiao Bei's back. Whoosh! In the area where the gray-colored ethereal fire had spread, the ethereal fire suddenly disappeared. Wang Kai's body, which should have been standing within it, had also disappeared. Agility martial technique. It must be an agility martial technique. It's actually so exquisite. The crowd reacted one after another. After being stunned for a moment, Xiao Bei also regained his senses. He immediately took a few steps back and stared disdainfully at Wang Kai. He sneered disdainfully. Fifth punch. Life and death? What kind of martial technique is that? It doesn't even hurt or itch when it hits me. I don't even feel anything. Bang. Crack. However, before Xiao Bei could finish speaking, his body suddenly exploded under the horrified gazes of the crowd. It turned into a rain of blood and bone fragments that rained down from the sky. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing a level 9 Quasi-Emperor expert. You have received 10,000 experience points. God, what kind of martial technique is that? It's actually so ruthless. It's simply too cruel. The expressions of many young experts changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with panic and fear, especially the lady in white. At that moment, she was so frightened that her delicate body trembled. She did not dare to stay any longer as she turned around and fled. Flee? Do you think you can escape? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and smiled mockingly. As he moved his feet, he softly said, so close, yet so far. Chapter 161. Swoosh. However, the phantom that Wang Kai had just exited his body instantly returned to his original body. Looking at Ji Chun and Ji Kong, who were blocking him, he frowned slightly and felt a little displeased. Benefactor Wang, since the female benefactor is already afraid, why are you still bothering her? Monk Ji Chun put his palms together and said with a gentle smile. Ji Kong, who was beside him, glared at him angrily. His face, which could scare off ghosts and deities, seemed to never change. He said calmly, Benefactor Wang, first 2 Buddhists died. Now, Xiao Bei from the spiritual state has died. These 2 deaths are related to you. If we allow you to continue killing, how will the blissful Buddhist temple maintain its reputation? He didn't know that at that moment, Ji Chun and Ji Kong were feeling uneasy in their hearts. Their cultivations were much higher than Wang Kai's, yet they were unable to see through his martial skill. They truly didn't expect the power of those 5 punches to be so terrifying. If they had not seen Wang Kai use the body movement technique, they would not have been able to see through it in an instant. Wang Kai squinted his eyes slightly and shrugged casually. He smiled calmly and said, "Haha, you two think too much. Ben Xiao is one of the few merciful people in the world. He has never killed anyone. As the saying goes, one is afraid of hurting the lives of ants when walking, and one is afraid of moths when covering a lamp. This is enough to prove that Ben Xiao is a kind person. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." However, everyone was full of disdain when they heard this. If they were not afraid of Wang Kai's unfathomable strength, they really wanted to say, "I'm afraid that the lives of humans are not even worth ants and moths in your eyes." Ba, Benefactor Wang is really a kind person. Master Ji Chun, Uncle Master Ji Kong, the deaths of the 2 quasi-emperors were caused by Miao Yin from the blissful Buddhist temple. It has nothing to do with Benefactor Wang and his wife, blood-robed Bodhi, Jingxian. If we were to talk about sins, I would be the one to blame. If not for Miao Chun from the blissful Buddhist temple. Ba, I would be willing to return to the commandment hall to reflect on my mistakes, Zineng said with shame. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this and glanced at him with admiration. He knew that Fatso Lu was definitely going against his conscience. After all, Miao Yin's reputation was too good and no one would believe that she was capable of killing people. However, Fatso Lu's words saved the blissful Buddhist temple from the trouble of pursuing the matter of blood-robed Bodhi. Everyone's expressions were not out of Wang Kai's expectations. They all had looks of disbelief. Even Ji Kong and Ji Chun were the same. They did not believe that Miao Yin would kill people in the blissful Buddhist temple. Ba, no matter what the reason is, Benefactor Wang will not be able to escape the sin of killing people in the blissful Buddhist temple. Junior Ji Chun, take Zineng back to the commandment hall to reflect on your mistakes. As for Benefactor Wang, leave him to me, Ji Kong said calmly. Everyone's expressions turned playful when they heard this. Ji Kong was the guardian of the blissful Buddhist temple and would not show any mercy when killing people. As long as he judged the other party to be evil, he would not show any mercy. Uncle Master Ji Kong, if Benefactor Wang is hurt in any way, Zineng will not let this matter rest. Even if I become a devil, I will not hesitate. Zineng's originally small eyes had already narrowed into slits at this moment, and a gloomy and cold light suddenly appeared within them. Ji Kong's eyes widened when he heard this. He suddenly looked at Fatso Lu and scolded sternly. "How dare you? You are the future abbot of the blissful Buddhist temple. Not only have you broken your precepts, but now you have the intention to kill. Junior Ji Chun, quickly take him to the commandment hall and reflect on his mistakes for 100 years. 100 years. Old Baldy." Fatso Lu was furious when he heard this. He was about to scold Ji Chun when Ji Chun grabbed him and they disappeared in the blink of an eye. Don't worry. Even if the gods of the 9 heavens come, they would not dare to show any disrespect to Ben Xiao. As long as Ben Xiao is willing, he can destroy the universe with a flick of his finger. Haha, it is not that Ben Xiao is boasting, but it is a small matter if he wants to destroy it. Naturally, the blissful Buddhist temple will not be able to escape misfortune, Wang Kai said with a smile. Although his voice was soft, it traveled far. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. When Fatso Lu, who was in the commandment hall, heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched violently. He was speechless. Young Master Kai, there is a time for bragging. Isn't bragging now looking for death? Little did he know that if Ji Kong really wanted to kill him, Wang Kai admitted that he was powerless to stop him. If that was the case, why should he compromise? Ba, I am gratified that all of you have come to the blissful Buddhist temple from the various states. However, you should choose a day to return. The wordless jade annulus is not fated to be with you. Good, 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 Ji Kong said nonchalantly. Many experts of the younger generation rolled their eyes when they heard this. Even though it was an order to leave, he said it in a gentle manner. He was indeed worthy of being the guardian of the blissful Buddhist temple. No one dared to say anything else. They hurriedly excused themselves and left one after another. Benefactor Wang Kai, can you follow me to the Nirvana Hall to take a look? Monk Ji Kong glared at Wang Kai. Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. He placed his hands behind his back and smiled nonchalantly. Hee, is there any point if Ben Shao says no? Master Ji Kong, there is no need for you to be so courteous. Since you did not attack Ben Shao, it means that you have something to discuss with Ben Shao. If that's the case, why are you beating around the bush? Ji Kong did not say anything else. He immediately turned around and walked towards the Nirvana Hall. Wang Kai naturally followed closely behind. The Nirvana Hall. Wang Kai looked at the wordless jade annulus that hovered in the air. He could not help but frown slightly. He asked in confusion, Master Ji Kong, may I ask why you've brought Ben Shao here? Could it be that you want Ben Shao to see through the mysteries of this jade annulus? Amipa, Benefactor Wang committed a murder in the blissful Buddhist temple. Even though the deaths of the two quasi-emperors have nothing to do with you, you cannot escape the blame for the death of Qiu Bei of the spiritual state. To avoid being punished by the spiritual state, I can only bring you here. If you can comprehend the scriptures on the wordless jade annulus, I will naturally let you go. If you can't, then you will have to stay here for the rest of your life. Monk Ji Kong said nonchalantly. Was this a disguised imprisonment? Wang Kai's eyes flickered when he heard this. He suddenly sneered and sat cross-legged on the futon with an indifferent expression. He looked up at the wordless jade annulus and pointed at it. Master Ji Kong, aren't you underestimating Ben Shao too much? It's just a wordless jade annulus. If Ben Shao wants to see through it, it will be too easy. It will be as easy as eating or sleeping. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. However, Monk Ji Kong did not say a word. He sat beside the wordless jade annulus and glared at it without turning his head. Chapter 162. How many bragging points do I need to see through the Buddhist doctrine hidden in the wordless jade disc? Wang Kai's expression was indifferent, but in his heart he secretly urged his mind instructs, in a second, to ask. If they were to compete in terms of martial arts, he would definitely not be Ji Kong's match. If that was the case, he could only see through the wordless jade disc. Host, there are hundreds of Buddhist cultivation skills in the wordless jade disc. Seeing through one requires 100 bragging points. Hundreds of cultivation skills, and one requires 100 bragging points. Wang Kai's face darkened when he heard the notification. He stared at Monk Ji Kong fiercely. If he had any other choice, he would have beaten him up. 100 bragging points were obtained by bragging 10 times. Since he had yet to expel the sage's blood essence from his body, he did not want to waste any more of it. However, there was nothing he could do. As the saying goes, when one is under someone else's roof, one has to lower one's head. Even if I lower my head, I can't let the blissful Buddha temple take advantage of me. Wang Kai thought to himself, decipher one of the most advanced Buddhist cultivation skills. Congratulations to the host for successfully deciphering the wordless jade disc. 100 bragging points have been consumed. Swoosh! Then, rows of words appeared on the wordless jade disc. There were a total of 81 rows from left to right. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he saw this. He could not help but look at Monk Ji Kong, who was beside him. However, he saw that Monk Ji Kong did not notice any changes on the wordless jade disc. Immediately, he came to a realization. Even if the wordless jade disc was cracked, only the person who cracked it would be able to see it. Ah, that's the great son. Suddenly, Wang Kai pretended to be shocked and shouted. Monk Ji Kong's face suddenly changed. He quickly came forward and grabbed Wang Kai's arm. He asked anxiously, Is this the Mahavajrayana Sutra? Wang Kai squinted his eyes. Monk Shi Kong was right. The Buddhist cultivation skill displayed on the wordless jade disc was the Mahavajrayana Sutra. Moreover, it was the most powerful one among the hundreds of cultivation skills. Great, son? Great, son? Master Ji Kong, do all the Buddhist cultivators in the blissful Buddha temple meditate like this? Wang Kai pretended to be puzzled and winked. His expression was extremely strange, but he was secretly amused. Monk Ji Kong was so angry that his face stiffened. He scolded sternly. It should be Mahavajrayana, not a woman. Take a closer look. If you can make a copy of this sutra, the blissful Buddha temple. Blissful of Bencheos? Wang Kai sneered in his heart when he heard this, but he nodded solemnly on the surface. He pretended to carefully look at the wordless jade disc again. After a long while, he suddenly realized and said, "So it really is the Vairocana Sutra. There are a total of 81 patter." Monk Shi Kong's furious look turned into one of ecstasy. He immediately took out several golden jade slips with a flip of his hand. After unfurling them one by one, he looked at Wang Kai with a benevolent expression and said in an extremely gentle tone, "Benefactor Wang Kai, quickly circulate your battle chi and copy down the scripture. Was this Mahavajrayana Sutra really that powerful? How could it make a guardian king Kong smile so brightly?" Wang Kai could not help but feel puzzled. However, this was exactly what he wanted. He smiled shyly and said, "To be honest, Master Ji Kong, after the battle with Qiu Bei, I've suffered serious injuries. My divine soul, body, and bloodline have all been damaged. I'm afraid I won't be able to use battle chi for the next few years. This is simple. I have soul cleansing water that can repair the divine soul. I also have 6 Dharma lotuses that can refine the body. I also have blood bodhi that can strengthen the bloodline. If Benefactor Wang can make a copy of the Mahavajrayana Sutra, I'm willing to give it to you," Monk Ji Kong said quickly. His expression was filled with anticipation. He had heard of soul-cleansing water, but what were 6 Dharma lotuses and blood bodhi? Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. However, since it could be mentioned in the same breath as the soul-cleansing water, it must be a precious treasure in the blissful Buddhist temple. However, how could he agree to it just based on this? Cough, cough. To be honest with you, Master Ji Kong, if I leave the blissful Buddhist temple, I'll definitely be hunted down by many enemies. I have no choice but to leave, so what should I do? Wang Kai shook his head sorrowfully and sighed. Monk Ji Kong did not care at all. He glared at him and scolded sternly. Who dares to kill someone who is fated with Buddhism in the blissful Buddha temple? Benefactor Wang, don't worry. As long as you can make a copy of the Mahavajrayana Sutra, I'll send a guardian King Kong to escort you. I'll definitely ensure your safety. Guardian King Kong. Monk Ji Kong was one of the guardian King Kong in the blissful Buddha temple. It could be seen that he was not weak. Wang Kai was elated. He pretended to be surprised, but his expression turned gloomy in an instant. He shook his head and sighed. So what if you can escort me out of the Buddha prefecture? I've left home since I was young. I'm all alone and have no place to stay. I don't have any guardian king following me. I'm afraid I'll die once I leave the Buddha prefecture. Be ****. Don't push your luck. The 6-path Buddhist lotus is a Buddhist treasure, and the blood bodhi is equally famous. They are both top treasures of heaven and earth in the 7 prefectures and 1 island. It's already a blessing that you can get it so easily. If you continue to be greedy, you won't even be able to get a single strand of Buddha hair when Monk Ji Kong recovers from his joy. Lord Cat shouted angrily. Judging from Lord Cat's tone, it seemed that he was even more anxious than Monk Ji Kong. It was Wang Kai's first time seeing a treasure that could make Lord Cat so anxious. Benefactor Wang Kai, if you can make a copy of the Mahavajrayana Sutra, I'll promise to let the guardian King Kong protect you for a year. Ji Kong gritted his teeth and made a condition. Judging from his appearance, he was determined to get the Mahavajrayana Sutra. It was as if he was crazy. Since Master Ji Kong has such intentions, It would be rude of me if I continue to be unreasonable. Wang Kai smiled calmly. Although he felt that he was losing out, he could not push Yi Kong too far. As the saying goes, a man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Being as greedy as Wang Kai was already worth it. Umapa. If that's the case, I hope that benefactor can make a copy of it as soon as possible. Monk Shi Kong put his palms together and chanted. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him with a puzzled expression. He could not help but reach out his hand and say with a shrug, Master Ji Kong, I've already said that I can't use battle chi. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, Monk Ji Kong took out 3 items without any hesitation. The first item was a black bottle with black water droplets flowing within it. The second item was a jade box, and within it was a golden lotus in full bloom. The third item was a blood-red Bodhi pearl that was beating like a heart. Whoosh! Wang Kai's pupils abruptly shrank when he saw this. Although he did not know how precious the 6 paths Buddhist lotus and blood Bodhi were, he could tell from their appearances that they were definitely not weak. He immediately reached out and stored the 3 items into a space ring. Master Ji Kong, please wait for a moment. Whoosh! 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 Wang Kai pretended to recuperate for a while. As Monk Ji Kong waited anxiously, he slowly circulated his battle chi and forced it out of his fingertips. He then copied the 81 rows of the Mahavarakana on the wordless jade wall. After he finished copying, Wang Kai's eyes flickered and he could not help but look playful. He then carved 8 words at the beginning of the first jade slip. If you want to practice this skill, you must castrate yourself first. Patter. Under Monk Ji Kong's eager gaze, Wang Kai closed the jade slip and pretended to be weak as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. He smiled faintly and said, Master Ji Kong, I'm glad that I didn't disappoint you. Chapter 163. Outside the blissful Buddhist temple, Wang Kai was walking in the air happily. In the distance, there was a Vajra Arhut following him. Although he did not know what the Vajra Arhut looked like, he knew that the Vajra Arhut was not weak. Brat, Lord Cat has no use for the soul-cleansing water and blood Bodhi, so give the 6-path Buddhist lotus to Lord Cat. This way, Lord Cat will be able to recover to his peak. At that time, with Lord Cat by your side, you can go anywhere in the 6 provinces in one island. Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his brow and couldn't help feeling a little curious. Stroking his chin, he asked with a smile, Big dumb cat, I've always heard you talk about how powerful you were at your peak. I wonder what level you were at your peak. Could it be the Emperor Realm level 3? When he was in fan state, he had heard of Cat Lord's various titles, such as the Illusion Emperor and the Cat Demon Emperor. Wang Kai believed that Cat Lord's strength was only at the Emperor Realm level 3 at his peak. You guessed right. I was indeed at the peak of the Emperor Realm level 3. However, I know illusions that can make saints retreat. Don't think that I'm just bragging. If you don't believe me, you can give me the 6-path Buddhist lotus. I'll let you see it for yourself. Cat stroked his long whiskers with an arrogant and confident expression. The aura of a great emperor could make saints retreat. When he said that, Wang Kai was suspicious. As the saying goes, the difference of one level in the martial way was like heaven and earth. The difference between the peak of the Emperor Realm level 3 and the Saint Realm was an entire level. How could this gap be crossed? Big dumb cat, I don't mind giving you the 6 paths Buddhist lotus. However, where's the treasure you mentioned before? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked mockingly. If what Cat Lord said was true, that he could defeat saints with the aura of a great emperor, then his treasure must be shocking. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord swayed his tail and stroked his whiskers. He sneered, Kid, you can fool others, but you want to fool Cat Lord? If it wasn't for the fact that my cultivation is still lacking, any one of these treasures would be comparable to the 6 paths Dharma lotus. Wang Kai shrugged and tossed the 6-path Buddhist lotus into the sky-reaching tower. Hee, stupid cat, bragging is Ben Shao's specialty. I advise you not to boast in front of Ben Shao in the future. As for the 6-path Buddhist lotus, Ben Shao doesn't really care about it. If you want it, just take it. Cat Lord's eyes bulged when he saw the golden lotus floating in front of him. He was dumbfounded. He could not believe that Wang Kai, who loved money as much as his life, would actually be willing to hand over such a heavenly treasure of his own accord. And there were no conditions. Brat, what tricks are you up to this time? Uncle Cat stroked his long whiskers and resisted the impulse in his heart. He didn't take the golden lotus. Before he figured out what Wang Kai wanted to do, he didn't dare to touch it. He was afraid that he would be fooled without even realizing it. However, Wang Kai shook his head and chuckled. He walked in the air with his hands behind his back. His white robes fluttered in the wind, and his demeanor was unrestrained and extraordinary. Stupid cat, you have a bloodline contract with Ben Shao and can recover your full strength. Although you're only a mere great emperor, you are still somewhat useful to Ben Shao. As the saying goes, good steel needs to be used on the blade. Since that is the case, why wouldn't Ben Shao do it? Wang Kai smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. A great emperor was actually said to be somewhat useful by a quasi-emperor. Inside the heaven-connecting tower, Cat Lord squinted his eyes and stroked his whiskers. Bastard brat, do you really think that you are invincible? When Cat Lord recovers to full strength, won't I be able to break a mere bloodline contract if I want to? Whoosh! Then Cat Lord leaped into the air, opened his mouth, and swallowed the 6 paths Buddhist lotus. Brat, Cat Lord needs a month to refine the 6 paths Buddhist lotus. During this time, you must not die. Cat Lord hurriedly sent a telepathic message. Then, he floated inside the heaven-connecting tower and closed his eyes without saying another word. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. How could he not know what Cat Lord was up to? If not for the fact that Cat Lord could not break the bloodline contract, he would not have come looking for him in Fan Province. The reason why Wang Kai could be so confident and hand over the 6-path Buddhist lotus to her so readily was because of the bloodline contract between them. It was made by the system itself. Wanting to break it was no doubt a fool's dream. Ancient blissful city. They didn't encounter any ambushes along the way, nor were there any experts tailing them. Such a scene greatly surprised Wang Kai. Logically speaking, the Zhang family of the martial state and the Shang family of the spiritual state shouldn't have given up. Prince, the Empress has sent me to find you. As soon as he entered the ancient blissful city, Hao Run, the manager of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, came up to him. Wang Kai frowned slightly when he heard this. He had never imagined that the Empress of the Fan Province would come to the Buddha Province. He vaguely remembered that he had thought she was a man when they were in the southern mountain range of the Fan Province. If he had not heard about it later, he would not have known the truth until now. When did she arrive? Wang Kai asked with a curious look on his face. 6 hours ago, she sensed that you were in the blissful Buddhist temple, so she has been waiting for you in the Endless Treasures Pavilion. Hao Ren replied respectfully. His demeanor was like a son meeting his father. From Hao Ren's point of view, since Wang Kai could make the Empress wait for him on her own accord, it meant that there was something interesting going on. The Empress of Fan Province is indeed powerful. Based on what Hao Ren said, the Empress must have sensed Ben Shao the moment he entered the city. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. He once heard from Jing Xian that the Empress of Fan Province was an absolute powerhouse from 1,000 years ago. She broke the bloodline limit and achieved extraordinary accomplishments. She could make any force or expert in the 7 provinces and 1 island give her face. Since she has waited for 3 hours, then let her continue to wait. This young master is exhausted now and needs to find a good place to take a bath and listen to some songs to rest, Wang Kai said with an indifferent smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. As soon as these words were spoken, Hao Run was shocked to the point his face turned ghastly pale. He immediately said with a trembling voice, Young Emperor, you must not do this. Perhaps the Empress won't do anything to you, but don't worry. The Empress is Ben Shao's sworn sister. As long as Ben Shao orders, she will naturally obey. Otherwise, why do you think she would bitterly wait for Ben Shao for 6 hours? Wang Kai indifferently sent a voice transmission. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 9 Martial Emperor. Wang Kai, I've finished bragging. You can come and see me now. Whoosh! Hearing the notification, before Wang Kai could rejoice, a mellow voice resounded in his mind. Although the voice was gentle, it contained an undeniable meaning. What level is she at? She can even spy on me by sending a voice transmission. Wang Kai's face immediately darkened and the corner of his mouth fiercely twitched. Originally, he thought that the Empress wouldn't hear him bragging to Hao Run through voice transmission. Up until now, no one had ever spied on him. But now, he could only say that there was always someone better than him. I've made everyone wait for a long time. My friends and family have come to visit me one after another, and I even wanted to eat and drink with them. I hope everyone can understand. I temporarily don't have anything today. Tomorrow, I will try my best to quickly update it. Tomorrow is Monday. Remember to vote for me. Chapter 164. At the same time, in the Tathagata Hall of the Blissful Buddhist Temple, Monk Ji Kong could not contain his smile. He placed the golden jade slips on a meditation platform and placed his palms together. Uncle Abbot Hui Xian, the Vairocana Sutra has been copied down by a fated person. Our temple's Dharma has finally attained blissful karma. An old monk with 12 incense scars on his head was sitting in front of the Zen platform. He did not turn around when he heard the question, nor did he open his eyes. Instead, he shook his head and sighed as he asked, Jikong, have you ever offended that fated person? Monk Jikong was stunned when he heard the monk's words. He was extremely puzzled. However, he knew that Abbot Hui Xian would not speak without thinking. He immediately thought about it carefully before replying, Uncle Abbot Hui Xian, I have never offended him. Everything I have done is for our Buddha. It can't be considered as offending him. Ba, there is cause and effect. Back then, you invited Jingxian to observe the wordless jade annulus. This is the cause. She comprehended the blood-clothed Bodhi and changed her name to the blood-clothed Bodhi. She massacred wantonly in various provinces. A few days ago, she came to the temple to ask for the soul cleansing water. You heavily injured her and almost killed her. In the end, she became a half-saint in the blissful Buddhist temple. This is the cause and effect. That fated person claimed that the blood-clothed Bodhi was his wife. She heard that you heavily injured him, so she bore a grudge against you. As Abbot Hui Xian spoke, Monk Ji Kong immediately came to a realization. After a long while, he placed his palms together and chanted, Ba, I never thought that the blood-clothed Bodhi, Jingxian, would actually be that little girl from back then. Good. Although everything you do is for the sake of Buddhism, you still have your own selfish desires. Just like back then when you invited that little girl, Jingxian, you wanted her to comprehend some Dharma so that she could copy it down and promote the Dharma of our temple. But in the end, you didn't get what you wanted. Now, you repeated the same mistake and borrowed Wang Kai's hand to successfully obtain the Mahavajrayana Sutra. Do you really think it will be so easy? When Monk Ji Kong heard this, his expression gradually calmed down. He never thought that the little girl, Jing Xian, had no intention of revealing the blood-robed Bodhi after she comprehended it. Instead, she pretended that she had not comprehended it. After she left the blissful Buddhist temple, she changed her name to Blood-Robed Bodhi. Because of this, it was difficult to know who the blood-robed Bodhi's real body was. It was even more impossible to guess that she was the little girl from back then. Ba, Ji Kong is ashamed. If we could have found the blood-robed Bodhi earlier, we would have gained another cultivation method for the Buddha, Ji Kong said with his palms together. When Abbot Hui Xian heard this, his eyes slowly opened. He twirled a string of Bodhi beads and said indifferently, Open that jade slip and take a look. Patter. As monk Ji Kong opened the jade slip, he was surprised to find 8 large words carved at the beginning. If you want to cultivate this method, you must first castrate yourself. Amitabha. I never thought that our Buddha's Tathagata Sutra would have such a cultivation method, monk Ji Kong said with his palms together. There was an indescribable shock on his face. Abbot Hui Xian shook his head gently. With a wave of his hand, the 8 words on the jade slip completely disappeared. He said indifferently, these 8 words were deliberately added by the fated person. Just like how he did it. Even if you found the blood-robe Bodhi back then, if you did not have good intentions in your heart and used the wrong method, the method you obtained would not be real. What? Deliberately added? How presumptuous! Monk Ji Kong immediately glared angrily. However, he secretly rejoiced. His back and forehead were covered in cold sweat. If Abbot Hui Xian had not seen through it, the blissful Buddhist temple would have become the laughingstock of the 6 states and 1 island. Revenge breeds revenge. When there is a cause, there will be an effect. Since he was able to comprehend this sutra, it proves that he is the fated person of the Buddha and has a deep relationship with Zenong. This matter is over. Remember not to do such a thing again in the future. You may leave, Hui Xian said indifferently. Within the treasure trove building, Wang Kai and Hao Run arrived one after another with a nervous heart. They went up to the 5th floor and arrived before a stone room. Wang Kai, come in. A gentle voice was heard, causing Wang Kai's heart to jump violently. If he had heard such a pleasant voice in the past, he would have yearned for it. However, at this moment, in Wang Kai's ears, it was as if the king of hell had sentenced him to death. Rumble. The stone door slowly opened. Hao Run, who was at the side, lowered his head deeply with a respectful expression. He did not dare to look sideways, not daring to have the slightest intention of prying. When Wang Kai saw this, he immediately felt an itch. He wanted to go up and brag, but he could not hide from the Empress even by using secret voice sending. He could only sigh in his heart and give up on this great opportunity to brag. As Wang Kai entered the stone room, the stone door slowly closed again. Hao Run secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He raised his hand to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead and thought to himself, Luckily the crown prince came to see the Empress safely. Otherwise, I would have been finished. Her eyebrows are like the distant mountains, but they are black without drawing. Her lips are like powder, but they are not. Her 2 curved eyebrows are like smoke, but they are not. A pair of eyes that seem to be happy, but they are also full of emotions. She is really charming when she looks back and smiles. Wang Kai's eyes were a little sluggish. He opened his mouth and uncontrollably started to sing praises. In his heart, he was already deeply shocked by the Empress's appearance. The Fan Province Empress had an indescribable smile on her lips as she looked at Wang Kai. Her white dress accentuated her aura, making her even more enchanting, especially that face that made the heavens and earth lose their color. She was truly worthy of being called a fairy. She only existed in the heavens and was rarely seen in the world. This Empress is ignorant and cannot understand what you mean. Since you are here, let's talk business. The Empress smiled faintly. She extended her slender arm and waved it. A stone stool glided over and stopped right beside Wang Kai's feet. Wang Kai regained his senses when he heard this. His face stiffened and he was a little embarrassed. In his heart, he was speechless. Previously, when he met Jing Xian, it was the same. His praises were completely ineffective. Could it be that beautiful and powerful women are immune to poems? Wang Kai secretly muttered in his heart. Sit. Bang. Wang Kai felt his body become heavy, and his body involuntarily sat on the stone stool. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes. However, since he was not as strong as the Empress, he could only grit his teeth and endure. The Empress sat high above, while Wang Kai sat below. To put it nicely, the stone stool was a stool. However, to put it bluntly, it was a stone that was only 1 foot tall. Sitting on it, he instantly felt uncomfortable. The more arrogant a woman is, the more Ben Shao likes to drag her into the abyss. Wang Kai viciously thought in his heart. However, the Empress frowned slightly and said indifferently, Wang Kai, in front of this Empress, don't harbor any evil intentions. Just like how you tried to harm Ji Kong at the blissful Buddhist temple. Your methods are useless in front of a sacred master. When Wang Kai heard this, he raised his eyebrows and said with a surprised expression, You even know about this? Not only do I know, but Ji Kong also found out from the abbot of the blissful Buddhist temple. If Abbot Hui Xian did not intentionally stop you, I'm afraid you wouldn't have been able to reach the blissful ancient city. The Empress smiled faintly. The sacred master is so powerful. Thank you very much for voting. Chapter 165. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard the words. He shrugged indifferently and said with a casual smile, This young master has long jumped out of the three realms, and my body is not in the five elements. The person who could destroy this young master has not been born yet. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. It would be strange if the blissful Buddhist temple, one of the most powerful forces in the 6 continents and 1 island, could not see through the Mahavirokana scripture. Even if Ji Kong could not see through it, it did not mean that others could not. If they could not see through it, then they would have to castrate themselves. They almost killed Jing Xian. If not for their lack of strength, why would they need to resort to such means? He was afraid that he would have already dealt with that monk, Ji Kong, with a thunderous blow. The Fanzhou Empress lightly shook her head. A strange light flashed in her eyes as she pursed her lips into a smile. If you're talking about jumping out of the 3 realms and not being within the 5 elements, then this is the reason why I called you here. Senior Fandy, I think you shouldn't give me such a big task. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. Those who escaped from the 3 realms and the 5 elements were not easy to deal with. If he really agreed, then he would be digging his own grave. However, the Empress of Fanzhou ignored him and smiled. In the northern territory of the demon continent, there is a demon. He is a bull. His true identity is unknown, and his cultivation level is unknown. He claims that he has escaped from the 3 realms and the 5 elements. The strong in the world cannot control him. The underworld cannot control him, and the Emperor of Heaven cannot control him. His name is Jatian, and his surname is Niu. Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai's face had already darkened. The corners of his mouth twitched fiercely, and his forehead was full of black lines. He really didn't expect that he had actually invisibly provoked such an awesome person. His surname was Niu, and his name was Jatian. Wasn't that the name Niu, Jatian? Ahem, Senior Fandy. Don't tell me you want me to apologize? With your power and influence in the 7 prefectures and 1 island, would you still be afraid of a mere bull? Wang Kai smacked his lips. He had a bad feeling in his heart. The Empress of the Fanzhou Empress shook her head. She smiled and said, Even though I'm strong, I can't hurt Niu Jitian. Since you know his name and dare to pretend to be him, it means you too are destined to meet. That's why I want you to go to the northern territory of the demon continent. Demon State, Northern Region. No, I won't go even if you beat me to death. To think that Ben Shao is so handsome and elegant. He is the most outstanding youth in the 7 provinces and 1 island. How can he be associated with demons in the land of the demon province? Wang Kai shook his head. He didn't want to go to the demon continent. And even if he didn't want to see the mysterious Niu Jitian. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. The Empress of the Fanzhou Empress continued. Niu Jitian has countless treasures. One of them is called the 5 Emperors token. It can open the tombs of the 5 great sage demon sovereigns. If you can get this token, you will be able to lead the demon continent's most powerful force, the 10,000 Demons Temple. 5 Emperors token, lead the 10,000 Demons Temple, lead the demon continent, If it's so powerful, why hasn't the Empress of the Fanzhou Empress obtained it? Even if you want to lie, you should at least come up with a more realistic reason. Wang Kai instantly rolled his eyes when he heard this, and then he suddenly shook his head again and said in a resolute voice, "This young master doesn't love the world, he only loves beauties. Not to mention controlling a mere demon province. This young master would absolutely not agree even if you gave me control of 7 provinces and an island." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Haha, in the pantheon of demons, the men of the Phoenix clan are extraordinarily handsome, and the women of the Phoenix clan are even more beautiful. There are also the Peacock clan, the Mystical Dragon clan, the Golden-Winged Great Pung clan, and the Kuan Pung clan. Together, these 5 clans rule the pantheon of demons. If you can rule them all, it will be a piece of cake for you to have 3 palaces and 6 courtyards like the emperor. Fan Di smiled faintly and looked at Wang Kai playfully. The Phoenix clan, the Mystical Dragon clan, the Golden Rock clan, the Kuan Pung clan, and the Peacock clan. These 5 clans were in charge of the 10,000 Demons Temple. How could it be easy to control them? It has always been you who tricked others. How could you ever be tricked by others? Wang Kai was furious in his heart. He snorted with a rather displeased expression. He couldn't help curling his lips and snorting coldly. Empress, if it weren't for your peerless appearance and pitiful appearance, this young master would have already beaten you up with your seductive words just now. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts to actually dare to trick this young master. If you can retrieve the token of the 5 emperors, I won't mind letting you beat me up. The Water Empress blinked her beautiful eyes and smiled faintly. Hiss! Hearing this, Wang Kai took a deep breath and stared at her in astonishment before gritting his teeth and smiling. Senior female empress, you failed to coax me, so you want to use your beauty. Buzz. However, before Wang Kai could finish his words, he suddenly felt an oppressive aura crushing down on him. His bones and tendons crackled incessantly. Only then did he suddenly remember that the person in front of him was the Empress of Fan Province. He was so angry that he forgot who the person in front of him was. Since I can't negotiate with you, I can only send you to the north region of the demon continent by force, the Empress said. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes, and his expression changed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Your Majesty, if that's the case, you can wait for Ben Shao to come back and beat you up. Ben Shao will accept this." Swoosh! The oppressive force disappeared instantly. The Empress nodded and smiled gently. "That's good. You are already a 9th grade quasi-emperor. I think you are not far from becoming a half-emperor. Take out the Sovereign Stone Tablet." Although Wang Kai didn't know what she was trying to do, he was not as strong as her. He could only grit his teeth and take out the Sovereign Stone Tablet. He then slapped it on the ground. Ha! When the Empress saw this, she shook her head and smiled. She stretched out her hand and called the Supreme Stone Tablet over. Then, she touched the blood essence on the tablet. Suddenly, she frowned and her eyes were filled with surprise. To Wang Kai's bewilderment, the Empress flicked her finger and the blood essence flew out. The Sovereign Stone Tablet is of no benefit to you. As the Emperor of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, how can you allow others to pry into your identity? From now on, your name on the Youth Sovereign Leaderboard will stop at the 9th grade Quasi-Emperor realm. It will not change, and no one will be able to pry into your information, the Empress said with a smile. Wang Kai's face darkened when he heard that. He stood up and snatched the supreme steel from the Empress's hand. He gritted his teeth and snorted. "That won't do. If I can't become the Saint of the Sovereign Gate, won't Jing Xian be in danger? If you have the ability, you can become the Saint of the Endless Treasures Pavilion," Fan Di said. Her tone was sonorous, full of confidence and pride. It was as if she didn't care about the Sovereign Gate at all. Good. Senior Empress, just you wait. This young master will definitely come back and give you a good beating. Wang Kai viciously gritted his teeth and laughed. In the blink of an eye, he got up and left aggressively. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. There is nothing he could do. Who asked his cultivation level to be lower than hers? Other than patience, there was nothing else he could do. How do I open this door? Wang Kai asked with a darkened face. Fandy's beautiful eyes were full of smiles when she saw this. She gently waved her arm, and the stone door slowly opened. When Wang Kai flung his sleeves and walked out, she muttered to herself in surprise, "What is his bloodline? I can't destroy it. His mother should be the daughter of the Lin family in the Wu state. His bloodline shouldn't be so strong. The Wang family? That's even more impossible. The Wang family is only in the Fan state. Could it be? Looks like the Wang family is not simple." Chapter 166. For more than a month, Wang Kai did not leave the blissful ancient city. After finding an inn to stay in, he closed the door and did not come out. However, because of this, countless cultivators gathered outside the inn and looked at the sky above the inn in shock. High up in the sky, a huge green light cluster floated. As the sky gradually darkened, the light cluster disappeared. When the next day arrived, another green light cluster appeared. It grew bigger and bigger, and this cycle repeated itself. Until today, it had been continuously for more than a month. To be able to control and gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, could it be a vision of heaven and earth? No, no, no. I think that a Buddhist treasure is about to be born. That's not right. I think that the inn is located in an extraordinary place. Could it be that another sage is about to break through? If that's the case, I'm afraid the blissful ancient city will be turned into ruins like Ling Ci City. Many cultivators frowned and thought about it. In the end, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. Many cultivators hurriedly left the blissful ancient city, afraid that they would be attacked by a sage. Ba, Fanzhou Empress, I wonder what kind of cultivation technique Wang Kai is practicing in the inn? If this continues, I'm afraid the people in the blissful ancient city will panic. In the void above the endless treasures pavilion, Abbot Hui Xian of the blissful Buddhist temple and the Fanzhou Empress were sitting among the clouds. I'm ashamed to say that although Wang Kai is the emperor of the endless treasures pavilion, I don't know what kind of cultivation technique he is practicing. However, I hope that Abbot Hui Xian can wait here and restrain the Buddhist monks so that they won't disturb Wang Kai's seclusion, the Fanzhou Empress said lightly. Abbot Hui Xian smiled gently and said with his palms together, "Since the Fanzhou Empress has said so, I will not go against it. The Buddhist cultivators will not disturb benefactor Wang Kai, but the cultivators from other prefectures are not Buddhists. Ha! There's no need to care about this. They don't have the ability to do so." The Fanzhou Empress smiled casually, her eyes filled with indifference. At this moment, everyone in the inn had already left. Even the boss and the waiter had left long ago. Only Wang Kai's room was still closed, and no one came out. It took a total of 36 days to create 36 Yuan Qi bombs. Each of them possesses the might of a peak 9th grade martial emperor. Ben Xiao's trip to the Demon Continent's northern region this time is unpredictable. With such a guarantee, I feel more confident. Wang Kai shook his head and laughed softly. In the blink of an eye, he clenched his hand into a fist and turned the last Yuan Qi ball into the size of a marble. At first, Wang Kai planned to condense a few to act tough. After all, in a situation where he was weaker than others, there were other ways to get rid of bad luck. However, once it was successfully formed, he realized that the power of the energy bomb was at the peak of the great emperor realm. He thought that the Yuan Qi bomb formed by quasi-emperor would only possess the might of a peak 9th grade martial emperor. He did not expect it to reach the level of a 3rd grade martial emperor. The Yuan Qi bomb had always been a very special martial technique. It could be upgraded as Wang Kai's martial realm increased. Moreover, every time Wang Kai reached the 1st grade of a realm, the Yuan Qi bomb formed would possess the might of a peak ninth-grade martial emperor. Thinking about it, the martial emperor realm was divided into 3 major martial emperors. However, the Yuan Qi bomb was not so. It still reached the peak of the realm. Kid, why do you always attract attention no matter where you go? You're too ostentatious. If not for the Fanzhou Empress and the blissful Buddhist temple's Abba at Hui Xian guarding you outside, I'm afraid you would have been discovered by various experts. It's good that you have a sacred martial emperor helping you now. What if you don't have any experts to help you in the future? Won't you implicate Lord Cat as well? Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and said worriedly, after a month of refining, the 6 Paths Dharma lotus had been completely devoured by him. He had now recovered to his peak state. However, even so, he could not do anything to Wang Kai. The bloodline contract still couldn't be broken. Even if he recovered to his peak, if he continued to follow Wang Kai, given his personality, it wouldn't be long before he was seriously injured again. Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his brow and smiled appreciatively, secretly thinking that he hadn't bragged for more than a month. Now that the big stupid cat had given him the opportunity, he naturally wouldn't let it go. Immediately, he cleared his throat and smiled indifferently. This question is too stupid. Why would this young master be surrounded by a crowd? The answer is very simple. Bin Xiao is awesome. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Lord Cat, who was in the heaven-connecting tower, rolled his eyes. He said with disdain, it's not that Lord Cat is deliberately hiding it. Lord Cat indeed does not know who Nyoja Tian of the Demon Continent's northern region is. However, within the northern region, there are 5 powerful clans. They jointly control the 10,000 Demon Palace. Although they do not get along well with each other, the strength of each clan is enough to crush the other 3 regions of the Demon Continent. The Demon Continent had a total of 4 regions. They were the North, South, East, and West regions. Wang Kai had already heard about this from Lord Cat. Now that he heard it again, he was annoyed. He waved his hand and smiled. So what? They are merely monstrous beasts. When Bin Xiao went to the Demon Continent this time, he just so happened to find several divine dragons to pull his carriage and several beautiful phoenixes to serve as attendants. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking through to rank 1/2 Martial Emperor. Host, Wang Kai profession. Martial Cultivator Realm. Rank 1/2 Martial Emperor Cultivation Technique. Taiju God Emperor Technique Martial Skills. So close yet world apart. Grass and Wood Soldiers. All Things Slicer. 5 Fists of Life and Death. Great Upside Down Sword. Origin Energy Bullet Equipment. Heaven Connecting Tower Bloodline. Rank 7 Bragging Points. 329 Experience. 070000. Inch my experience did not increase, and my bloodline did not increase. It seems that not only is the Origin Energy Bullet not limited by the 3 Emperor Realms, the system is also the same. There was a hidden joy in Wang Kai's eyes. He quickly glanced at it and activated his mind to close it. Soon after, he stood up in high spirits and stretched his body in an extremely refreshed manner. Waves of crackling sounds continuously rang out in his ears. When Lord Kai goes to war, not even a blade of grass will grow. In the Demon Continent, all the beasts will retreat. Wang Kai said with a proud smile. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Host, the Saint's blood essence that contains the flame bath poison has reached its limit. It needs to be quickly suppressed again. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's face immediately darkened. The good mood he had just now instantly disappeared. He fiercely gritted his teeth and said, Suppress. Congratulations to host for successfully suppressing the Saint's blood essence. 100 bragging points have been consumed. Only a mere 100? Could it be because he had broken through to the half Martial Emperor realm? Wang Kai's eyebrows twitched. He asked with an expectant expression, How many bragging points do I need to clear and expel it from my body? Host, with your current martial realm, clearing it requires 800 bragging points. Expelling it requires 300 bragging points. As expected, it was caused by the realm. Chapter 167. Host, Wong Kai Profession, Martial Artist Realm. Rank 1 Half Martial Emperor Martial Technique. Taiju Emperor Technique Martial Technique. So close, yet so far. Grass and wood soldiers, 10,000 cuts, life and death fists, great upside down sword, origin bullet equipment. Tong Tian Tower Bloodline. Rank 7 bragging points, 239 experience. 10000. 70000 inch. If I had known earlier, I would have used 300 bragging points to expel the sage's blood essence. Wong Kai felt a sense of loss. If he had known earlier that expelling the sage's blood essence would only cost 300 bragging points, he would not have wasted 100 bragging points to suppress it. But now, he only had 200 bragging points left. If he wanted to expel the sage's blood essence, he would have to brag a few more times. Can't you give Ben Shao a better service? You should at least give Ben Shao a reminder. 100 bragging points is equivalent to 10 bragging points. Are you trying to make Ben Shao vomit blood? Wong Kai gritted his teeth and said with a black face, Host, the system does not have such a service. Patter. The corners of Wong Kai's mouth twitched when he heard this, and he angrily closed it with his mind. Then he crossed his hands behind his back and smiled awkwardly. This young master is a dignified bragging god. Why would he care about a mere 100 bragging points? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. It would be a lie if he said he didn't care. At this moment, Wong Kai already felt a sense of despair. Just the Emperor-level cultivation technique alone required 300 bragging points. How much more would he need to cultivate higher-level cultivation techniques in the future? Look, someone is walking out of the inn. Could it be that the future Buddha has come to this world? That must be it. Amitabha. So that's not the birth of a Buddhist treasure. It's the reincarnation of the Buddha. Ha ha ha. The reincarnation of the Buddha? Look carefully. That's Wong Kai. If he can become the Buddha, then wouldn't I be able to rule over 6 states and 1 island? As soon as these words were spoken, it immediately caused those Buddhist cultivators to look over carefully. When they saw that the person who walked out was Wong Kai, they immediately put their palms together and chanted Amitabha. In the blink of an eye, they closed their eyes and started chanting. Wong Kai, I wonder what you're doing inside. To be able to gather such a huge amount of heaven and earth spiritual yuan. Could it be that he failed to become a saint? Nonsense. He is merely a quasi-emperor. How can he become a saint? He must be cultivating some kind of marvelous martial skill. Everyone chimed in one after another, discussing and asking questions nonstop. However, Wong Kai was not the least bit impatient. Instead, he looked at them with a face full of smiles. Ben Shao didn't want to hide this matter from everyone. After more than a month of meditation, just now, a Saint Emperor came with his mind and said that he wanted to help Ben Shao reach the Saint realm. However, Ben Shao never liked to take advantage of others. He felt that martial arts cultivation required accumulation of hard work. Therefore, he severely reprimanded the Saint Emperor and rejected him. Wong Kai smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. When everyone heard this, the corners of their mouths twitched violently. They stared at Wong Kai with disdain. They never thought that he would be so bold as to brag about a Saint Emperor. Amitabha, the Prince of Treasure Trove Pavilion, is really humorous. In the void, Abbot Hui Xian of the Blissful Buddhist Temple glanced at the Fanzhou Empress with a playful expression. Haha, Abbot Hui Xian must be joking. No matter how strong Wong Kai is, he can't be stronger than the future abbot of your temple. He actually married a disciple of the Blissful Buddhist Temple. In the future, if the marriage between the 2 great Buddhist temples is successful, this empress will definitely personally visit and present a big gift. The Fanzhou Empress smiled indifferently. The complacent look on Abbot Huixian's face instantly disappeared. With a stiff face, he put his palms together and said, Ba, since Benefactor Wang Kai has come out of seclusion, this monk will take his leave. Whoosh! After Abbot Huixian disappeared, the Fanzhou Empress's beautiful face turned cold. Her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly as a cold light flashed. She looked at Wang Kai below and sneered coldly. Bastard, you actually dare to embarrass this empress in front of that old bald donkey. However, at this moment, Wang Kai still didn't know this. Seeing that the crowd didn't believe him, he shook his head and sighed. Ben Xiao has already expected this. Even if I tell you, you won't believe me. Fine, since that's the case, then Ben Xiao will tell the truth. What's the truth? Everyone's nerves were tense as they looked at him expectantly. With his hands behind his back, Wang Kai cleared his throat. Under everyone's expectant gaze, he smiled indifferently and said, Actually, Ben Xiao not only scolded that Saint Emperor, he also mercilessly beat him up. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Can you stop bragging? Aren't you afraid of being punished by the Saint Emperor for saying such words to a mere quasi-emperor? A mere quasi-emperor dares to talk nonsense in front of us. You're really courting death. Ba, Buddha is merciful and doesn't want to kill. We can only ask Benefactor Wang to leave the ancient blissful city. In an instant, everyone's faces were filled with anger. They really couldn't stand Wang Kai's bragging. Whoosh! Wang Kai's face suddenly hardened as he looked at them coldly. He gritted his teeth and sneered. Bullsh asterisk T. Ben Xiao is the god of bragging. If I don't brag for a day, Ben Xiao will feel uncomfortable all over. Since you all think so highly of yourself, you can step forward. Ben Xiao only needs to flick his finger to beat you unconscious. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Arrogant and ignorant. Why don't you come and beat me unconscious? An old man with a ferocious look stepped forward. Although his body looked like that of a dragon's, his eyes shone brightly and his aura was extremely strong. At this moment, he was standing less than 3 meters away from Wang Kai with his hands clasped behind his back. His expression was one of disdain. That's a cultivator from the Wu state, the unbreakable emperor, who is known for his strong physical body. I didn't expect him to come to the Buddhist state. Could it be that he was asked by the Zhang family of the Wu state to... That should be right. The unbreakable emperor is a rogue cultivator who has reached the 8th grade of the Great Emperor realm. He has been accepting assassination missions to obtain cultivation resources. That makes sense. After the unbreakable emperor reached the 8th grade, he said that he would temporarily give up on accepting missions and find a place to cultivate and break through to the peak of the 9th grade. This time, he must have received a lot of benefits. It seems that Wang Kai can't escape this time. Although fighting is not allowed in the Elysium ancient city, the unbreakable emperor is famous for his physical body. Even if he doesn't fight, his emperor body alone is enough to cripple Wang Kai. Many martial cultivators looked on with anticipation. When the Buddhist cultivators saw this, they frowned slightly. However, they did not step forward to stop it. As long as there was no killing, and both parties were willing to do so, they were willing to ignore it. In the eyes of the Buddhist cultivators, Wang Kai should be taught a lesson for bragging like this. The unbreakable emperor? 8th grade of the Great Emperor realm? Are you sent by the Zhang family to kill Ben Xiao? Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled. However, the old man did not speak. Instead, he secretly snorted and said, I'm not sent by the Zhang family. I'm sent by the Shang family of the spiritual state. However, if you hand over the technique that gathers the spiritual essence of heaven and earth, I can leave your corpse intact. Since the old man was here to kill Ben Xiao, there was no need to show mercy. Wang Kai's expression was full of mockery. He nodded slightly and said with a mocking smile, Unbreakable Emperor, Do you dare to stand there and take Ben Shao's finger? Hearing this, the old man's expression was full of disdain. He suddenly straightened his back and said calmly with his hands behind his back, "Not to mention one finger, I can take thousands of punches from you. Do as you wish." Hee hee, Ben Shao likes bragging like you. You're asking for it. Swoosh. Wang Kai took out a Yuan Qi bomb and immediately flicked it out with his finger. Swoosh. Puff. In an instant, under the astonished gazes of the crowd, the old man's heart was suddenly pierced through and bright red blood spurted out on the spot. You can't. Plop. The unbreakable emperor's eyes bulged. He looked down at his bleeding heart and his body twitched twice. Then he fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Congratulations to the host for killing an 8th stage martial emperor. You've received 160,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 4th stage half-martial emperor realm. Chapter 168. For deities, for spirits? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He could not help but think of the myriad demon palace in the North region. Puzzled, he asked with a smile, since the 4 deities and 4 spirits exist, how can the North region's 5 great demon tribes suppress the entire demon continent? The 4 deities and 4 spirits are existences that protect the entire demon continent. They do not lean towards any tribe. If human cultivators invade, they will naturally resist. Otherwise, why do you think the demon continent is one of the 6 continents and 1 island? Unfortunately, the fan continent is small and is not included. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and smiled. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and placed his hands behind his back. His expression was indifferent as he smiled. The fan continent has the empress. Although it is small, it is famous. Among the cultivators of the 6 continents and 1 island, which powerful tribe dares to declare that they will destroy or unify the fan continent? It is not that they do not dare, but that barren land is nothing to them. If the Empress had not appeared in the fan continent 1,000 years ago, I'm afraid that no one would know of the existence of the fan continent. Lord Cat laughed disdainfully. Although Wang Kai felt indignant, he could not refute. The highest level cultivator in the fan continent was the martial king level. Outside the fan continent, martial emperors and martial emperors were everywhere. Insignificant martial kings were practically unheard of. He had no idea why Emperor Fan would seal off the Fan province. Even if it was to protect the Fan province, he shouldn't have restricted the martial cultivation of the natives as well. Wang Kai really couldn't understand the reason behind this. Do you feel speechless? It's not that Lord Cat is trying to belittle the Fan province. Even now, Lord Cat still doesn't know where that province came from. In the eyes of the cultivators from the other provinces, they only know that Emperor Fan is there. Lord Cat stroked his long beard and smiled. Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. His expression was one of indifference as he laughed softly. Now that Ben Shao exists, the Fan continent will definitely stand above the 6 continents and 1 island in the future. It will be worshipped by all tribes. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Host, Wang Kai occupation, warrior cultivation, rank 5 half martial emperor cultivation method, Taiju a divine emperor technique martial techniques. So close, yet so far. Grass and wood soldiers, myriad cuts, life and death fists, great inverted sword, vitality bullet equipment. Tong Tian Tower Bloodline. Level 7 bragging points. 369 experience. 200070000. Expel the saint's blood essence from his body. Congratulations to the host for successfully expelling the sage's blood essence. 300 bragging points have been consumed. Whoosh! A drop of crimson blood essence floated out, emitting an extremely tempting fragrance. Wang Kai frowned slightly when he saw this. He directly put it into his space ring, only to find that he couldn't put it in. Just as Wang Kai was feeling strange, he couldn't help but frown slightly. He turned and looked up at the void. He saw a carriage pulled by two seven-colored snakes walking through the air. Instead of calling it a carriage, it would be better to call it carriage. The bead curtains on top of it fluttered with tinkling sounds, and the surrounding purple gauze curtains fluttered. Bursts of fragrance came from afar. Young man, quickly put the sage's blood essence into the Tong Tian Tower. Cat Lord suddenly shouted anxiously. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and flicked his finger, sending the sage's blood essence into the Tong Tian Tower. He then asked curiously, "Big dumb cat, why are you so anxious? Be careful, the owner of this carriage is not simple." The two rainbow-colored snakes are called seven-spirit-colored scaled pythons. They are born with the cultivation of an emperor. Since they dared to use the seven-spirit-colored scaled pythons to pull the carriage, they must be unfathomable. Cat Lord warned sternly. Seven spirit-colored scaled pythons? Wang Kai looked at the two snakes curiously. He saw that the rainbow-colored scales on the bodies of the snakes were shining brightly. Their auras were at the level of a boundary emperor. "May I know which temple you are cultivating in?" A bewitching voice came from the carriage, causing one to feel numb all over. It was as if one's soul had been sucked out. So it's the southern region's nine-tailed fox clan. Young man, you have to be careful. If the owner of this carriage thinks highly of you, I'm afraid you'll turn into a human jerky. Cat Lord smiled faintly. Southern region, nine-tailed fox clan? Fox demon? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. His expression turned serious as he put his palms together and chanted, Ba, I come from the blissful Buddhist temple. I'm going to the demon continent to pray to Buddha and seek scriptures. I'm passing by and hope I can borrow this carriage to stay. Cough, cough, borrow this carriage to send me off. Plop. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord fell to the ground when he heard this. He rolled his eyes and yelled, It's over, it's hopeless. Oh, going to the demon continent to pray to Buddha and seek scriptures? I wonder where there are Buddhist temples and scriptures in the four regions of the demon continent. Whoosh! The two seven-colored scaled pythons pulled the carriage down. However, they didn't land on the ground. Instead, they hovered 3 feet above the ground and floated in front of Wang Kai. Wang Kai looked inside the gauze curtain, but he still couldn't see anything, let alone the figure inside. He suddenly felt quite speechless, but he still smiled solemnly and said, If there is Buddha in your heart, no matter where you are, there is also Buddha. If there is no Buddha in your heart, even if you are in a Buddhist temple, you can attain Buddha. Cough, cough, I have cultivated for thousands of years and have long regarded the world as Buddha in my heart. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Wang Kai, can you stop talking nonsense over there? Suddenly, a very familiar voice came from the carriage, causing Wang Kai's expression to freeze. Miaoyin, a disciple of the blissful Buddhist temple. Why is she in the carriage? Oh, Sister Miaoyin, do you know this little master? The charming voice asked in surprise. Of course I know him. In fact, I am very familiar with him. He is not a simple little master. Even the blood-clothed Bodhi, who was once ranked first on the Youth Sovereign leaderboard, was bedded by him. If Sister likes him, you can give it a try. Miaoyin said with a playful smile. Ba, I still have important matters to attend to. I will not be here with the two of you bragging. Whoosh! Wang Kai turned around and ran onto the bridge of 4 symbols. His figure immediately turned into a stream of light, like a shooting star, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Within the veil, Miao Yin's delicate body was wrapped in golden gauze. The 3 important parts of her body were still covered by the golden armor. Her graceful body was intoxicating. At this moment, she was lying on a soft cloth. Her slender, jade-like hand was holding an emerald green grape. She opened her seductive red lips and swallowed it. In front of her, there was a demon fox with 8 tails. The tails were extremely long, about 5 to 6 meters long. They were curled up together and swayed slightly. However, The body was extremely small, about the size of a wash basin. The fur on the body was snow white, and a pair of extremely human-like beautiful eyes were blinking slightly. The pupils in the eyes were deep blue. "Sister, he has escaped. Quickly go after him." Meow-een laughed softly. Hearing this, the eight-tailed demon fox swayed its tail and lazily moved its body. With a gentle smile, it said, "Sister, don't worry. I will definitely snatch that drop of Saint Blood essence for you. As for that little master, Wang Kai, since he was able to take the blood-clothed Bodhi into his room, I am very curious. How is he so powerful?" Whoosh! The two seven-colored spiritual scale pythons slowly floated up. When they stepped onto the bridge of four symbols, they immediately turned into seven-colored lights. Their speed was so fast that it was fleeting. Chapter 169. The bridge of four symbols was not as narrow as the bridge of reincarnation. Instead, it was extremely wide. The distance between the left and the right was more than 100 feet. The surface of the bridge was covered with Qing Tian stones. It was smooth but not slippery. It looked rather spectacular. At this moment, Wang Kai was running rapidly on the bridge of four symbols. His figure was like an illusion, appearing and disappearing repeatedly. Every step he took covered a distance of a few thousand meters. Even so, he still could not see the end of the bridge. It was many times longer than the bridge of reincarnation. Behind Wang Kai, the two seven-spirit rainbow-scaled snakes were pulling the chariot in hot pursuit. The distance between them and the chariot was extremely stable, always a few dozen meters apart. It was as if they were toying with Wang Kai, but that was indeed the case. "Little master, don't run. On the bridge of four symbols, the speed of a human will never be comparable to that of the demon clan." A charming voice was heard. It was filled with mockery. "Ha ha, Wang Kai. In fact, you look quite cute when you're running away. Run a little faster. We're going to catch up with you." Meow-een smiled sarcastically. Wang Kai's face darkened. He could not believe that as a level 5 half-martial emperor, he could not even compare to two emperor-to-be demon snakes. Although the bridge of four symbols did not have the same test as the bridge of reincarnation, it also prohibited one from stepping on air. If possible, he really wanted to tear down the bridge of four symbols. Meow-een. Wang Kai suddenly took out the supreme steel. His face darkened as he activated his consciousness to check. Meow-een, 18 years old, level 8 bloodline, level 7 second realm martial emperor, ranked 8th. Level 7 second realm martial emperor? She is merely a level 7 martial emperor. To think that Ben Shao thought she was a level 2 martial emperor. Wang Kai's face was filled with a sinister smile. After he quickly kept the supreme steel, his body suddenly stopped. He suddenly turned around and stretched out his hands. He hugged the head of one of the big snakes tightly. Then he lifted it up into the air and slammed it down. Bang! Crack! Swoosh! The two large snakes rolled and roared on the bridge, while the chariot was instantly shattered. Unfortunately, Meow-een and the nine-tailed fox woman had retreated from the chariot before it fell. They stood in the distance and looked at the shattered chariot with ugly expressions. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw this. He casually swept a glance at Meow-een before looking at the woman from the nine-tailed fox clan. She was dressed in a long white dress and had a pretty face that was comparable to Meow-een's. In terms of bewitching charm, she was even more charming than Meow-een. Between the brows of the female fox demon, there was a cluster of red flames. Her eyes were deep blue, her skin was snow white, and her figure was extremely explosive. Rather than calling it a dress, it would be more accurate to call it half a dress. Her lower abdomen, which did not have the slightest bit of fat, and her slender legs were all exposed. What was even more irresistible was that her slender legs were wrapped in layers of white silk. Her skin was faintly discernible. Wang Kai smiled indifferently. TSK, Fox Demon, I have to say that your outfit is really good. This miniskirt suits you very well. If you're willing to bow down and become Bin Xiao's maid, Bin Xiao can spare your life. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Boy, I'm afraid you are in trouble this time. Lord Cat never thought that the woman from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan would be the immortal goddess by Yin Yin. She has a special flame called the Immortal Divine Flame, which is ranked 8th on the list of special flames. It can make her body indestructible. Even though she is only a martial master, she can remain safe and sound in front of an emperor. In this world, only those who have special flames can pose a threat to her. Lord Cat said with a serious expression. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He didn't know what that special flame was, but to be able to make Lord Cat give such an evaluation, she was definitely not a good person. If a martial master could make an emperor helpless, then how powerful was that special flame? Little master, do you know that I like this carriage the most? Bai Yin Yin said with a frown. Even when she was angry, her voice was so soft and seductive that it was really unbearable. Swish! Wang Kai waved his hands and placed them behind his back. His posture was tall and proud, and his expression was indifferent as he smiled and said, Bai Yin Yin, you have the eternal divine flame in your body. That is a gift from the heavens. However, did you know that this young master is the ancestor of playing with fire? Not to mention the immortal divine flame, which is ranked 8th. Even the top 3 special flames are like ants in front of Bin Xiao. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. As soon as these words came out, Bai Yin Yin's expression changed. She stared at Wang Kai and suddenly smiled softly. Little master, do you care so much about me? You even know this servant's information so clearly. Sister Yin Yin, I think he went to the demon continent not to pray to Buddha, but to go to you. Miaoying covered her face and laughed. Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and pretended to be unfathomable. Secretly, he urged his mind to open the system and said lightly, among the treasures of heaven and earth, and even the magic devices and treasures, are there any rare flames? Host, in the system, there's only the first ranked dustless flame. If you want to control it, you need to spend 100 bragging points. Sure enough, there was one, and it was the first. The bragging points required were only a mere 100. Although he didn't know why the strange fire ranked first only needed so little bragging points at the moment, he had no choice but to control it and use it to deal with Bai Yin Yin. As for Miaoyin, Wang Kai didn't even put her in his eyes. Wang Kai's expression became even more unfathomable. Secretly, he hurriedly urged his mind, quickly control it. Host, bragging points are insufficient, unable to control it. Host, Wang Kai profession, martial artist realm. Rank 5 half martial emperor cultivation technique. Taiju God Emperor technique martial skills. So close yet worlds apart. Grass and wood soldiers. All things cut. 5 fists of life and death. Great upside down sword. Origin energy bullet equipment. Tong Tian Tower bloodline. Rank 7 bragging points. 89 experience. 4000070000. Only 20 points left. Wang Kai quickly glanced at it and urged his mind to close it. Then he lightly smiled and said, Bin Xiao's handsomeness can make the heavens and earth lose their color and make millions of girls infatuated. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. In front of him, Bai Yin Yin and Miao Yin's beautiful eyes were blinking. They were very curious. They never thought that Wang Kai would be so interesting. In the face of a powerful enemy, he could still brag. However, Wang Kai's next words made them tremble with laughter. I vaguely remember that 30,000 years ago, there was a female immortal who was infatuated with Bin Xiao. In the end, because she couldn't get Bin Xiao, she was depressed and died. Wang Kai continued to laugh. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Control the dustless flame. Congratulations to the host for successfully controlling the dustless flame. 100 bragging points were consumed. Buzz. Wong Kai only felt his entire body heat up, and within his eyes, a pale white flame flickered and disappeared. In the darkness, he could clearly feel his heart being moved, and the reason for this was by Yin Yin standing in front of him. That was the fluctuation of the strange flames. Little master, you are also a strange flame controller? Bai Yin Yin's expression suddenly became somewhat unnatural as she forced a smile. The previous smile on her face was stiff, and at the moment, it looked quite strange. Miao Yin was laughing at the side, but after hearing Bai Yin Yin's words, her tender body immediately stiffened. Her beautiful eyes widened as she looked at her in disbelief. Sister Yin Yin, you're not joking, are you? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.